What the heck is a quad lock?
Watch this to find out.
Whether you're in the car, on the bike, on the water, in the air, your phone is an important tool. Keep it secure with Quad Lock.
We'll throw it out there, mate. We like breaking ground here.
Well, no, I don't know. Usually when we say this,
So I
it's
was
because
just
we're
trying to find
actually
your testicles under the bar here, mate.
I've got some hairy arms now. You probably can't control it. It's probably 48 hours growth.
Here we are. We can't afford to buy you more razors.
Yeah, you're taking too much time away from the racing to keep shaving your beard, so let it grow out.
Be like my bloody neck, mate.
He's out there swinging his dick in front of him, just going,
It was just like
catch me if you can.
Threw it over his shoulder and said, here we are, boys, tip her in.
Oh no! He's in the fence! They're both in the fence! All in the fence! Oh, unbelievable!
Sound check.
Sound check.
Controversy around our sound check too, Scotty.
Cheers. Yes.
Cheers, mate. We've gone international. Some Kiwi listeners reckon it's fake.
Yeah, there's a few people doubting our crisp sound checks.
The legitimate, how do you say it?
Legitimacy?
There you go.
Yeah,
right.
you got there. Well, you didn't, I did. But yeah, there's a great podcast out of New Zealand that we want to give a little shout out to, actually, because the Speedway Insider, I got sent this a few times during the week. They're a New Zealand podcast, and they have, like you say, questioned the legitimacy of our can cracking, whatever you want to call it. You know, our sound check, but the actual pop of the can, they reckon sounds too crisp every time. But anyway, I'm going to play. Can you turn the phone up for me, Barbs? Mm-hmm. I'm going to just play this little clip of them calling bullshit.
Okay, because I've already started.
I can't do a sound check on a glass either.
There you go. That's my Summit Ultra against my microphone.
Couldn't even hear it.
Sound check.
Yeah, that's the sound check. Oh, those guys I'm convinced that they can't open a beer that good into a microphone. So
Every time.
You're fucking wrong, aren't you?
every single time. And I'm pretty sure the sound effect that I used that one time that we did it,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the same sound effect that they use.
I was going to say, I bet it's just they can put the same
100%.
sound every week.
100%. There's no chance that they can do it that good into a microphone. That's a joke. So I'll just insert sound here.
Yeah,
Shit out.
perfect. No one will be any the way.
Well, there you go. Ours is actually better than the sound check, but we are live. We've done it.
They're real.
We've just done a crack of the can live on YouTube. So every time, baby.
Every time. I'll have to drink on him, but every time.
Yeah, now you're already double parked, just to prove a point. And that's what we're prepared to do here. But it is, that's we every time. There's no faking it, and we are live on YouTube. If anyone doubts us, there's our evidence. All of our listeners now can attest to the fact that they are real.
All right. Let's dive in.
Shall we get into it?
Yeah, you want to talk about IndyCar first, mate, or SVG's amazing efforts?
Let's go to NASCAR first, because I don't think there's as much discussion points there. But Shane did have a good run. They got the pole for the heat race, whatever you call it.
The open race. I liked how they did that too, because you had to come into a pit stop, and that was all part of the time, which I thought was neat.
I love how they do all these little things for NASCAR when they're non-points races. I think it's really cool. It brings the team more into it as well. The celebration in pit road's really cool to see. We'll get to the competition cautions and stuff they do, but I think it's what we've talked about a few times with this, talking about Calder and trying to maybe revive that. I think, they're the type of events that kind of transcend NASCAR, because they're shorter races, they're really good fun. I think that, Supercars could do something like that, non-points races, and start to introduce those types of things for qualifying. Because at the moment, even qualifying anyway, it's kind of odd in motorsport. You always put the fastest at the front, slowest at the back.
And then everyone screams why there's no passing.
Yeah. So I think it was a really cool way of doing it. Not to say that, Shane didn't deserve the pole anyway, because what we wanted to say is he did lead. He led 50 laps and was 3.5 seconds in the lead when the midway safety car came out. So he had arguably the quickest car all day in that open race.
Actually, has anyone checked on Foster? Because he does a thing when he watches Shane's races live. Every lap Shane leads, he has a beer.
That's true.
It's meant to be for the cup races, but that was a cup race, but it wasn't points, so maybe there's a technicality there. It wasn't a championship race, so maybe. So actually, I haven't heard from him today. Should we do a welfare check?
Those short circuits be hard as well.
50 beers, holy shit.
We do. I've seen the top 10 shootout at Bathurst. There's actually two that coincide with each other at the same time. The top 10 shootout at the top of the mountain is arguably better than the on-track top 10 shootout. It's very similar to what Foster does. Every lap.
At McPhillamy, yeah.
At McPhillamy, you got to start and finish your beverage. And it's hilarious to see. So you'd think it sounds pretty...
What's the drink every 2 minutes?
Yeah, but you get the rest in between too, the warm up. So it's
the rest.
But everyone's like, oh no, that's all right. Like I've heard of people that we've spoken to people that've done it, and they're like, nah, this is going to be fine. Like you get 2 minutes to drink, and then you get like 4 minutes in between to be fine. But to drink, it's funny. They get halfway, and then they start dropping like flies. Yeah. But
I remember 1 year I was up there with you.
That's right.
And we watched it.
I got abused up there as well. It was funny.
About the fourth car in, there was someone over the fence throwing up their cider, and they're drinking Bundies and all sorts of stuff. They're not drinking middies. So.
Fabian Coulthard's dad actually had won it the year prior to that. Little fun fact that Fab's dad can obviously put away a beverage, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I mean NASCAR on the weekend this morning was really cool, and it was a shame though because when the safety car came out at the midway point, his team decided to take 4 tyres. Majority of the field took 2 and jumped him in the lane. I think he lost 5 spots and just wasn't able to get back. I think he had a run in though as well. I didn't see who that was with. Do you know his name?
Yeah, I've gone flat off the top of my head, but we messaged Shane today and I said, how was your dust up? It's in our group chat. Actually, his name's not in the group chat. But yeah, and because I saw an article and he just said, he was just driving in someone's door for the last 10 laps and it was the bloke that spun him last week, so he thought he'd go down and call him a fuckwit, which was pretty funny. Yeah. Because Shane's not one to fire up either. Like Shane's one to go behind closed doors and just like vent internally. He's not one to go down and like publicly. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of, obviously America's rubbing off on him.
I even laughed how he said it in our messages. It was like, I just, whatever it was, told him he's a fuckwit or whatever it was and moved on. It's like, yep, fair play. And even his interview, I laughed watching it. He's smiling, just like, it is what it is. But, I was disappointed because as a mate, you want to see him make the show. But those cautions they do in those types of races are really important because had it gone green the whole way, if there wasn't a wreck, it's 3.5 seconds in the lead, he would have led from start to finish. And that's what, he raced for $1 million. They just throw variables in there to make it chaotic and exciting.
And he was racing good people though too, because for some of the listeners, it wasn't the full field that got to start in the All-Star race. So, like, he still had to race guys like Bubba, Carson, Hocevar, and like guys that are running up the front regularly in Cup. He was having to race against. So, for him to lead, some people might just think it was a bit of a non-event race, but he was racing some serious cars and teams. So
yeah, and he was braining them. Like his pace on that was good. So I mean, Hocevar and Nemechek won it first. Hocevar was first, but. It's like you say, it wasn't just a gimme. And I think, the field is, you see good guys, like even Larson on some of the ovals qualifying in the 20s. It's not,
motorsport's, you got to have the machine under you to do the job.
So it is, it's pretty competitive. Anyway, the main race, the All-Star race was pretty cool. I liked that it was only 250 laps. I think, I struggle a little bit with NASCAR that the races are so long. But on a short track like that was a pretty exciting race, I thought. What do you think of... I popped this in because I think it's a controversial one, or it's one that people will be like on the fence about, but the competition cautions, the All-Star Promoters Caution, they called this one at the end of the race. What do you think of that? Do you think they're a good idea?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I think I was listening to Denny Hamlin's show the other day and he was talking to Kyle Busch about the lead up to this All-Stars race. I think that it's a great idea. Because they can basically just, within a certain window of time towards the end of the race, the promoter gets to pick when he wants to throw a caution.
Yep.
Which I think is awesome. Because especially when there's such a big prize purse, like $1 million, as you said, you want it to be entertainment. You don't want people to know with 20 laps to go who's going to win.
And that's got to be the priority, doesn't it? Is the exciting part of it. You got to keep that.
There needs to be 3 or 4 dudes duking out with a lap to go.
Yep.
In my mind. So I think that creates it. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's not championship points, so there's nothing to lose. I think in races like that, I think it's a bloody good idea.
Yeah. And then Bell getting the win. He was fast all day. I think Logano arguably had, he argued that he had the fastest car. So it was definitely not a straightforward race. It was a close finish. I actually rated his move as well on him. Like, I saw Logano said after the race, if I got close to him, I was turning him after the move that he did. But in terms of NASCAR moves, I thought it was pretty good. He didn't turn him. He didn't put him in the wall. Ran him out of road. Yeah. and got it done in a way in NASCAR that was actually pretty clean. I thought it was pretty good.
It was textbook, I think,
Yeah.
and I'm a bit of a Chris Bell fan, and for what I've seen over the last couple of years, that's how he he's got real good racecraft.
Yep.
Like he's not one to just turn people or door them. He'll do it really smart, which he did today, and it paid off $1 million. But yeah, I thought
$1 million.
I thought the move was good, but I was thinking the same thing when I was watching back. I'm like, fuck, if Joey gets near him here, Joey's just going to roll off the brake and send him here.
Oh yeah.
And then luckily he had the pace just to make it happen. But there was some good racing there. Like they were 3 wide for a bit. It's quite a small, it's a short track. So like I think at one stage Kyle Busch was up high and there was 3 of them duking it out and like for a while.
I think
like
Busch
Blaney
was in the mid on a 3-wide battle that went for like 4 laps at one point, like right towards the end of the race. But what about we are so strict on our unsafe release. Like even if a car has to brake to avoid an incident, it's a penalty. I agree with it here in Australia. I think our pit lanes are a little bit narrower as well. So it's kind of the crew members are at a quite high risk if a car gets turned in the pit lane. But at the end of the race, Christopher Bell got released into it was front wheel to front wheel, like hard. And this was the last safety car for the final 30 laps. What do you think about that? Like, do you think there should be...
No, I think over there that...
Let that go, or...
Yeah, I think so. Because I think over there it's part of it. Like we've seen in the past in NASCAR where they didn't really have speed limits in the pit lane. Guys were like locking rears and spinning out down the lane at 100 mile an hour and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we couldn't have it here in Australia just because we're a nanny country and our OHS and everything's so strict and our insurances and all that sort of stuff. But I think over there it works. I think the crew, like drivers, when they get in the car, they know the risks and they take that on.
Well, I hope everyone's enjoying the show. We want to give a quick shout out to our partners that make this possible. Start with East Coast Car Rentals. If you're in the market for a rental car, AHU15 for 15% off already fantastically priced hire cars. Trico wiper blades. Barbs, if you're in the market for wiper blades, what are you going to buy?
Tricos.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to rent a car, you want to buy one, Lancaster Motor Group.
That's right. And if you go in and you mention Apex Hunters, you get a free wheel alignment. When's that till, Scotty?
End of June, I believe it is this year. So if you get in and mention Apex Hunters, you don't mention our name specifically because
I won't know who you're talking about. But if you are one to hit the gutters, or your missus likes to hit the gutters in your car, mine's guilty of that too. Take it in, they'll give you a free wheel alignment, job done.
All the links to these websites will be in the description of this video. So Shaw and Partners as well, big supporter of ours around the microphones, only fresh these ones. And Quadlock, the link there if you're after any phone mounts, adapters, or a cover. You need a case for your phone. Action cam mounts as well. We smashed those. That we use them flat out at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival. Any of the vision
they're
that was
awesome
captured
too.
there was
so quick to just change them.
Well, that was the thing that I didn't realise. Yeah, you don't need to undo your GoPro mount anymore. They've got their own connector, so that's very fast. But if you can, support the partners that keep us alive. If you'd love to watch our podcast live, like some of our Patreon members, go over there and sub. Back to the show. What I wanted to ask is, anyone in the comments as we're chatting here know the pit lane speed limit in NASCAR? Even Elliot, you may know that, but... Because that's one that for us, it's only 40 k's an hour. So ours is quite low.
I think theirs is like, it's either 40 or 40 miles maybe or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100%.
Because I'm curious.
Some 100k an hour, is it? There you go. So that's 60.
It's a 60 mile an hour.
60 mile an hour.
That's pretty fast, dude, to allow these. Like, that was a very unsafe release. Okay, it varies.
40 mile, yeah, because I thought I'd heard it 40, so
it must vary. I guess on on the big tracks, they're not going to have. They're going to have a much higher pit entry because it's harder to get down to.
The thing I like.
So the short track was 30 mile an hour this week.
There you go. The thing I like with it too is it's not a pit lane limiter like we have. It's lights. So you can still very easily go over or under the speed. So it's actually a real skill for the guys to come down the lane and not lose time.
Which is why when they leave the box, they do such big burnouts then.
Yeah. So.
Because for us, you can pretty much dump the clutch and do a little, like you get like a half a rotation of wheel spin. That's about it, up to 40.
Yeah.
Whereas you see the NASCARs leave sideways with smoke behind them.
Yeah. So I think that's also like, the drivers don't even get to relax when they're in the lane. They're like watching the lights, making sure they bang on their speed and stuff. So.
Right. I'd be curious to know what it's like after.
So in the Trans Am car, my dash config's the same.
Yep.
Because we don't have a pit lane limiter. So when we did the 2-driver TA2 race, we had the lights set up, and it was actually bloody hard to keep it right on like 39k an hour.
Yeah, that is interesting. I was going to say, though, what the drop and go is like, because for us, we can just go to 100% throttle and it manages the fuel map and everything for you. So I wonder what it is like, because if you take off in a V8 supercar without the pit lane limiter on, it's fucking horrible. It's really hard to take off slow. Yeah, without it. Because I guess if you're dropping and going in a pit stop, you're going to just dump the clutch and go.
Yeah.
But yeah, ours in the race is pretty easy because you've obviously got a line locker in the supercar so that the wheels don't spin, which is the safety rule. But that means that you can preload the clutch and just set your throttle and then just sit there, and as it drops and you go.
Yeah.
Whereas NASCAR wouldn't have any of that. So there would be you'd have the clutch on the floor and then you just sidestep that and
That's why they have
full throttle.
That's why they have cool burnouts when they leave.
yeah. That's I actually quite like that. It's definitely
It adds, and it also adds the risk of like you could obviously get done for speeding really easily.
yeah.
You know, and also you can lose a lot of time
Yep.
because if you're 2Ks slower than what your optimum is at 39 or whatever the speed limit is for that weekend, you can obviously lose a bit of time in the lane. So.
I actually quite like the idea of not having a speed limiter because you're going to get booked. All of us can go slow enough. I don't mind it. It would be really hard. Like
It definitely makes it harder, I think. Because Shane, one of his early races, he was chatting to us about something went wrong. It might have been Coda when he was running well.
Okay.
He said his lights wigged out or something in one of the stops, so he ended up going slower, I think it was, so he didn't get done speeding.
Yeah.
Because the lights dropped
But
out
then
or
lost a heap of
something,
time.
But he lost a bit of time, so...
Aaron Sargent's thrown in there as well that the timing in the pit lane, they have sectors.
Yeah.
And Mick D has said that it's timed over 5 zones, he thinks. I do like all of that with NASCAR. It's a little bit more, it's like taking a step back, remove some of the technology. We've maybe talked about it in the podcast or just, pub ourselves, but Formula One, like the race starts now, everyone just gets the same start. Like removing some of the technology for race starts in pit lane, I think would be really cool because it brings it back to the drivers. You know, you can lose a half a second or a second in the pit lane with a slow wheel change, but you could easily lose that in the lane without maximising 40 k's an hour on the throttle.
Yeah, well, they do analyse it to the nth degree because I've heard, again, Hamlin talk about it on his show. So they have the sectors. So basically when they're just in the box, he can then say, no, the team did a shit job. Or he can say, no, I did a shit job in, I did a shit job out, I did a shit job down the lane. Like they do break it up into multiple sectors.
Yeah.
So then the driver knows which parts he's contributing to and then also what the team is they isolate it into sections. So there's obviously a mad science to it, and it's something that they obviously look at heavily because it can make, because they're pitting so many times, you could lose so much time over a race.
Yeah. And it's all stuff that takes away from the driver, really, ultimately, doesn't it? You want to bring it back to the driver, making the difference.
Yep.
And that's why, as well, the pit stops for that qualifying I thought was really cool for a non-points race to set the grid like that. Brings it into the mechanics' hands. Like, actually lets them be part of the result for qualifying, which they never get to.
And I liked in the driver intros the crew went out with them as well, which was cool. So the pit crew were rolling out with them. Guys with shotgun and cans of Coke and stuff. And
even when Christopher Bell won the race, did you see his 5 crew members out there? Yeah. And it was like, I was actually thinking, I wonder what their cut is of the bonus. Like, I mean, the team is huge, but I wonder if those guys get a particular set bonus for that race because they really...
Actually, I'd love to know what they get paid too, because a lot of ex-athletes that were on reason, like NASCAR is such a
college,
big sport.
ex-college footballers and things.
It would be interesting to know, is it, are they on a couple of hundred or like what is it? Do they get prize money? Like, because they're pretty serious athletes, some of them.
Yeah. This is why we live stream too. Silverblade 1941 has said Shane's pole was the first pole for a Kiwi in any NASCAR series since Ray Burns in September 1985 at Ascot Park, California. There's a little fun fact for our listeners. We can't fact check that, so you better be right, mate, not just sending us up shit.
We don't fact check anyway, mate, so it's all good. I'm running with it.
I lose my voice. But another one is Twisted Drift. This is a topic conversation. North Wilkesboro should be a points race.
Well,
I agree.
Chris Bell said the same thing in his victory speech. He said it's the best short track in the country, that it should definitely be a championship race. So, yeah, I mean, then where does the All-Stars race go?
Does the All-Star race, though, stay at the same track every year? It doesn't.
No, I think it moves around.
So,
yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if they bring it in, like they'll then... Where's the next cool place they can host it?
Yeah, like even where they did the Clash this year was cool.
All-Stars race would be good if it was a circuit too. Shane would love that. $1 million on there. All the flat track drivers would like that.
I just don't think you can do it for NASCAR though, can you? Because so many of them are oval specialists.
Bread and butter is there.
Talking NASCAR, though, has impressed me that last race at Coda, a few of them have really stepped up. And because they share data, whatever Shane's able to do in the car, they can see. And I was pretty impressed. Like those guys can obviously steer a race car because... You know, you go to a track that none of them knew, obviously in road courses, street circuits, where Shane had the success at Chicago is a bit of an anomaly. But they've really raised their game by the looks of it. And a few of those guys, I guess getting to share data is a bit of a cheat code anyway. They get to see what he does. And then in the race, there was a lot of guys up there that were pretty good. Again, Christopher Bell was a gun that weekend. I think he won that weekend. So
and even
he can steer.
Yeah, the first year they went there when Shane won it. Christopher was right on Shane. He ended up locking the rears and firing into the tyres at turn 1, I think. But he was actually like hanging with him for a bit.
Yeah, someone's either getting arrested or taken to hospital as they drive past my office there. But sorry about the sirens in the background.
They definitely put the work in though, because I know I was chatting to Marcus about this at one point. He said when he went over, he was the same on the road courses with right foot braking and stuff.
Yep.
They then picked up on that pretty quickly, and then they adapted, and then they got to the same level. And then he was sort of saying when they left, they probably just went back to their old ways.
Yeah.
And then Shane's turned up, smoked him in Chicago, and now they've all had to then, pick up the pace and readapt and try something new, and they're all putting the work in. A lot of them do heaps of stuff in
the sim and things.
Sims, but also like one team's got an old Terry Wahoon supercar that they use for their...
that's Bush, isn't it, that has that one? Is that Bush that's got that one? Because that's the one, I think...
RCR, Richard Childress Racing have the old Commodore supercar.
Because I was talking to Will Brown about that, and he said he went over to help them. And
Penske still have
and he tested with Bush. He said Bush was actually pretty good, but they were still a fair way off Will. So it'll be interesting with those guys going to, because that's come out as well. That's now public that Will is doing a NASCAR race along with Cam Waters, and Brock's going to do an Xfinity race.
Yep.
So
we were wrong. So the Xfinity race, was that for Brock? We thought Jack was going over.
Oh, no, because...
Are we still potentially right?
No, because we got told that it was Will. Remember? And then we're not wrong. We're not, no.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but the Jack one was never done off of our podcast with Earl and Steve. That was just
we thought it was going to happen.
A calculated guess, which I think it is. I still think that is happening, Jack doing that. But the one for Will, obviously we were told, Earl had texted me and said that, Will was doing it. But, I think I'm assuming as well, Shaw and Partners, I'm assuming he's on that car. So that's exciting. Podcast partner, Shaw and Partners Financial Services on Will's car. Chicago, I think it is.
Oh, sorry, he's going to Chicago. Okay.
So that'd be cool. It's a shame that Brock isn't doing the Cup Series as well, but it's going to be cool. I think he'll be hard to beat in the Xfinity Series. I think he's going to be. Yeah,
well, it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure Larson will go do, like, a couple of those guys will handpick that round to do Xfinity for extra laps.
Yeah.
All the good ones. So, like, you guys like Christopher Bell will go grab a JGR Xfinity car, I'd imagine. Larson will jump in a Hendricks Xfinity car.
Yep.
Is Shane doing it in Junior Motorsport there as well? Because he's doing a couple of rounds with JR Motorsport.
Not sure.
Anyway,
the Cole Larson rumour. Yeah, that was very close to happening.
There you go. Russell Haddock. Yeah, SVG is racing Chicago Xfinity as well.
Yep.
So that's
so Adam said about Larson coming to Adelaide. That was so that almost happened the first time, and then the budget's just crazy. It's $600,000 they're trying to raise for him to do that, which is a lot of money for one race. No, so his salary's confirmed. So like those that are saying it's never going to happen, it definitely is. Like he's already agreed to what his salary will be. He's already, the government has put forward, like they're chipping in, and the guy who is running it was chatting to him at Adelaide Motorsport Festival, and like it sounds like it's close to happening,
especially with the sprint car stuff there.
Yeah, so I think, it's really just trying to get him a competitive car and the money to do it, because the guys that are going to run it have said this is what it's going to cost. And the guys running it are expensive. Like they are going to put him in a package that can be competitive. So it's really just about getting the money across the line. But it's a lot for one weekend.
Do you know what he should do? He should come in, because Trans Am's there that weekend, and at Mellar the weekend before. He should just go rent a Trans Am and just double up on the laps.
Well, to be honest, I don't think you could at that weekend.
Well, he could do Mellar, though, the week before.
Oh, sorry, yeah, the week before. Yeah, I was going to say, at Adelaide 500, though, like, to be honest, man, I think you'd struggle to back up the Sunday, having never driven a supercar on a road course, physicality point of view. And also, you just would be silly to do multiple... Like, you could do the sprint car because you'd be so familiar with it. Maybe even the Trans Am, I guess. But you would go, what are you going to be serious about? If you're trying to raise $600,000 to do one weekend in a supercar, to run... another car you're unfamiliar with and learn both of them would be, one sits on the left, one sits on the right, you're on a road course.
To me, I don't
78
think
laps
him
both
as much as
days.
some of the precious Aussies over here, mate. He just gets in anything.
Yeah, but then he'll just be an average in each because everyone in supercars.
But he's not going to win in Supercar. Let's be fucking real.
Yeah, but he's going to want to be as good as possible. And I mean, he could do it, but it will definitely make him worse in a supercar if he drove a Trans Am as well. You go through turn 8 in a left-hand drive car, and then you go there in a supercar, and everyone in supercars, I think you're underestimating how close supercar drivers are. If he's 3/10 off pole, he'll be 18th or 20th. So if he drives a Trans Am and he's 4/10 off, then.
But I'm not expecting him to be in the 20 in supercars, is what I'm saying.
I think if he gets in the car that they're talking he might, he could be in the race pace there.
Race
He
pace,
could be a
maybe.
top 10.
Yeah, quality, I think he would struggle.
IndyCar, mate.
Yeah, IndyCar, first of all, glad Scotty Mack walked away from that ginormous crash he had today.
Crazy.
Because, wow, there's the speeds that they're always been fast, but it seems like there's now like a few cars that are well over that 232, 233 mile sort of pace. So, yeah, Scotty had a big one. As I said, lucky he was okay. Did some damage to the track too. Did you see the gouge it took out of the surface?
Yeah.
Which James Hinchcliffe was saying, like, you get scrapes and stuff, but like they were saying they hadn't seen.
But they didn't even break the camera off the roll hoop, so I don't know what actually hit the ground.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe one of the wishbones or something dug in or something, or.
Because, I went back and looked at the roll hoop and I thought, fuck, it doesn't look like the roll hoop actually hit. And the camera on top looks unbroken, like undamaged. So.
Colton Herter had a big one too. There's been a few, actually. There's been sort of 3 or 4. I mean, if you're going to have a crash there, it's going to be big.
Huge.
Like, you're not going to have a small
And lucky
crash.
that, like, that tech barrier they got now looks great. Like, it really looks like that's absorbing a lot. And also the way they've put the holes under the car and the floor now, it has really prevented any of the cars getting up to the catch fencing. Because that, even Scotty said, like, his one concern was just getting up into the catch fencing. Because that's what creates all the G-force, is that centrifugal force when they, that's unfortunately like Robert Wickens when he caught the catch fencing. So, I think IndyCar seem to have done a really good job with keeping the things on the ground. Even though we're seeing them turn, they're actually turning back and staying down, which is amazing to see. So, really fucking big shunt, but lucky to...
That safer barrier, as you were saying, you could see on the slow-mo, like where I think it's the left rear wheel hits it, and you just see the fence just go and absorb it.
Yep.
And so, which is what we touched on with that Adelaide stuff last year at turn 8, like just to stop the concussion stuff. Like,
and so many people said, oh, you can't do it.
Yeah,
like...
You can do anything you want.
Yeah, surely
it costs money.
Yeah, it has to be possible. Like, I'm watching the IndyCar guys hitting. I think someone put in there around 370 k's an hour. Like,
it's wild.
and the Adelaide one is, I would love to see them just upgrade that wall because it hasn't changed forever. And some of the crashes we saw last year, the drivers got seriously hurt, didn't they?
100%.
Like proper. I saw Richie after, and
Richie was rattled. Jackson wasn't real good.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff they were seeing with the new Nascar because the cars were so strong. The soft gooey bit in the middle is the driver, and they absorb all the impact. So,
and even like, I had that crash at Bathurst a few years ago where my steering failed and it was 50G, but side-on impacts are the worst because there's no crumple zone. So front on doesn't actually hurt very much at all because you've got like a meter of impact zone that can just crumple up. Whereas when you hit a door, it just goes straight through your rib cage. So the headrest and that's pretty good, but like I broke my ribs, and if that went head on, I would have been unscathed. So, you think ovals, most of the time those guys go in sideways. And turn 8's another one of those corners where you don't really go head first. So it's always going to be a crash that hurts the body, like whether it's your head getting rattled in there or breaking ribs. So they should really look at doing something there.
And minimum speed in a supercar, because I know the Trans Am was the same. It was like, 220 is as slow as you go through there.
Yeah.
So, like, you're hitting, like, you're actually moving, like, even though, so.
And you bounce, the thing is, too, you bounce off that inside wall, like, I'm literally, like, and you'll be feeling the same. You imagine going through there now, and you can almost feel it still, where you bounce off that inside curb.
It sucks in a Trans Am, because you're on the left-hand side, so it's easy to, like, be half an inch, too much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, on the left-hand side.
It's good on the exit because you're like, I'm right there anyway.
Yeah.
I can judge the wall really well on the exit, but the entry, like, where's that wheel?
Well, that's the thing I say about Larson. Like, that's why, I was so like, nah, not going to happen because turn 8 is like, and you can make or break it. Like, I qualified second there last time I was there. Waters polled, I think it was last time. I qualified second, but I lost like 3/10 in the first sector. It was really shit sector. Made it all up through turn 8 just by like fucking, grin and bear. But that in quality, turn 8, everyone's so good through there that I think for someone like Larson, you'd want to be so familiar by quality to get through turn 8 without making a mistake. And then to be able to do it like 78 times both days.
Under
I
15,
just reckon, you throw him on the left-hand side and he does 40 laps across the weekend on the left or something. Then you try and jump back on the right. It only takes like 20 mil, hit that inside barrier, and there's no forgiveness in it. So
Some cars will take the curve. There's some cars won't, depending on setup.
yeah,
You know.
and the new car, well, actually, they fixed it a little bit the second year. The first year of Gen 3 was horrible because you remember in the past, the old car, they had like twin springs. I think people were fucking around with
Progressive
all
rates and
different stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. So you could actually get an entry rate and an exit rate, which was okay. But when they went to Gen 3 and when they even banned the twin spring, the understeer through there got so bad because you had to compromise and you'd be in dirty air and turn 8 became really tricky. Like if you bombed in there behind someone, you're like, oh, fuck, like just waiting to hit that wall on the outside. So it is what makes it. But looking at the tech barriers and stuff they got in IndyCar,
Yeah.
I think it'd be a no-brainer to just somehow implement
Try to do
something.
something similar, yeah.
It's like the only corner in the country because I get like, but even Bathurst, they could do that. You've just got to dig the mound out and be able to put tech barriers at the exit of the grate. But I get there's more involved. As a street circuit, temporary barriers, surely we could do something that is a little bit safer. But we did talk about that a lot last year because it's pretty scary. I think it was like 3 drivers that had concussion.
And
Two of them didn't get to race because of it.
And there's probably some that maybe had something but didn't tell anyone or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I've had a couple of those. You have the rattler and then you're like,
But yeah, it's good getting back on the IndyCar stuff. Good to see that, they've got those safety procedures in there. So Scotty was fine. He was just obviously bummed because his car was absolutely a rocket. He would have been on for a really good starting position sure.
I was surprised he said that he felt it going and should have lifted.
I think he was a bit, it just, to me, we haven't, someone did ask in the chat, I haven't spoken to Scott, I have, but you could just sort of sense he sort of said it was a bit of a nothing session, like he was a bit bummed that he took that risk.
Yep.
When he had such a good car because it was essentially for nothing, which was kind of, they were his words. So I think, he's probably a little bit frustrated that he obviously felt something and thought, we'll be sweet and just
Stayed into it.
probably got a little bit complacent and then probably forgot that he was doing 370k an hour or whatever. And, so part of that learning stuff, he still reasonably knew it doing the Indy 500. He's done it a couple of times, but so I guess that's part of it. Like when we spoke to Will, he was saying, watching Scott's first year there, how like he was so on edge and everyone's like, fuck, you can't drive him like that. And he was comfortable. Scotty Mack was comfortable doing it because he's like, no, that's all good. I can feel it. But then had a crash. And I guess it's part of that continual learning in that Indy,
Yeah, definitely. Someone said as well they need like a higher minimum aero, but I don't agree. I think that if you increase the aero, because everyone's flat now anyway, because it's like, and that's the thing, that's why pretty much anyone can turn up in a good car and get to grips with it, like and do well. I think if you're
Larson said that, didn't he?
Yeah, he said like, you're what did he say? Yeah, he goes, Logano asked him, what do you have to do to be fast around here? And he just said, be in a Penske car.
Yeah,
because pretty much you're just flat.
He just said you're flat. It's just how they trim it and just get it right. Which, I mean, the way he said it, I mean, if anyone else said that, it would have come across probably pretty arrogant. For whatever reason, he gets away with it.
Rory's put one in here that you were like, just put a Hoosier on it.
Well, I tell you what, they would go probably a lot slower, but it'd be a lot of fun.
What about even, do they need to do it over 4 laps? Like, is that necessary? That's something that...
Doing that, well, because they got to build up of it. Yeah, it's...
You know what I mean? Like,
it's interesting, why they do it over 4. Could it be shorter? Could it be 2? I don't know. But it's obviously part of the history of Indy, I assume. Or
but then, so I think IndyCar, it's got to be low downforce because that's what separates. There are drivers that are still lifting out there, like when it's really low downforce and they're on the edge, trying to go as fast as possible. So
because they can trim it, they can trim it out if they want.
It's got to be, exactly. So that's got to be there. Unfortunately, if you just overgrip them, everyone would just be flat easily, and there'd be no. Because even I think the first lap people do out there, they just over downforce them. And go flat. The idea is just go full throttle on your first lap of Indy and then start trimming it back until you start to have moments. But I think the 4-lap thing, I don't know. I'm not an IndyCar expert, so I don't know. But there's got to be a better way, I reckon, of the quali. Like, especially because it doesn't look like it's actually in their hands anymore. Some of those crashes, when you get the crosswind or something, it almost looks like it's not a driver error, but then you could really fuck yourself up. Like, you could really get hurt. So I don't know. But getting on to the penalties. So
Penske.
Huge news that 2 of the 3 cars, and we say 2 of the 3 because we're taking Tim Cindric's word, which who knows whether he's honest or not. But
Scotty's car was crashed anyway, so.
But Willpower and Joseph Newgarden's car got pulled out of qualifying. Joseph's failed tech. They reckon that Willpower's had passed tech, but they decided to pull Willpower's out because he had the same body fit violation on the rear attenuator, which is what Joseph Newgarden failed for. So they decided, well, if we qualified, they're going to disqualify us anyway. So they decided to pull it out. They tried to work on it. Other teams obviously didn't like that. Sounds like the officials said you can. Then it sounds like people protested it because you shouldn't be doing that in the lane.
Yeah, it sounds like competitors said, no, fuck that. Like,
Yeah.
So someone's gone down to Bunnings, got themselves a silicon gun and just decided to
Yeah.
fill up a couple of gaps to make her an extra half a mile an hour faster, which, I mean, if you looked at the photo of the piece they did, so if for those of you that might have seen it on socials or seen it, basically where two bits fit together, there's a bead of silicon almost in one of the joins, which goes on the rear of the car. Which you might go, what difference does that make? But at 230 miles an hour, like a small square of tape on a car can make a difference. Like,
Yep.
it's crazy how much...
It makes a difference. They wouldn't have done it
if
it didn't make a difference.
But it's crazy how much the smallest things you'd look and go, there's no way that makes any time difference, and it does. So even at NASCAR, and they're slower, like a little square of tape can make it, 3, 4, 5, 10 difference on a lap on a dome. So it definitely makes a difference. So, look, I sort of said to you, mate, geez, it's bloody risky because Penske owns the series. They own Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Like...
The risk they're taking is probably unnecessary for the amount of bad.
It's just not a great look.
Yeah. For how bad it looks, those type of risks probably aren't worth it.
Someone will get a pull through. Someone's like if I was Roger Penske, smart guy, he'd be well aware of how bad that would look for him.
Yeah.
He owns the championship. He owns the venue they're racing at. Plus, he runs the most competitive team. You'd be like, what the
We had this chat about one of the teams in Supercars though, where we were talking about like what makes a team good and not. It's leadership from the top down. So it's a really harsh thing to say for Roger, but these things start at the top, right? You're empowered by your boss. So unfortunately, even if he comes down hard on people, they feel as though they've got the freedom to do those things because of what they're allowed to do. So it's Penske's name on the door.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If Tim Cindric, I guess he's head of motorsport still, or I think actually someone's taken over head of motorsport, but he's the guy that's at the front of all of that. And like some of the things they're getting done for, he would have to feel as though he has the freedom to take those risks. So even though Roger's going to come down hard, I still feel like it's got to start at the top. And there are risks like that silicon, how much difference that makes. I'm sure it makes something, but it's definitely not one they're going to be happy's made the news, because it's not going to be one that's like worth it. You'd be like, fuck, guys, like that's what we've made the news for now, at a track that we own, a category we own, for a negligible advantage. But the thing is as well, I wish these interviewers, like the journos, would actually have some balls to ask real questions. Because
we know why they don't, though.
Because Cindric, in the interview, when he said, I went and checked Scotty's car and it's not on that one, which tried to justify that, like, it's not something that's maybe intentional. He pretty much blamed the crew on those two cars.
It was an anomaly, like, we don't know how it's happened.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
But why didn't the journalists go, could we go take a look with you at that part? Because it's obviously a part they're happy to have filmed because they were filming the other cars. So I would have said straight away, well, can you take us down and show us? And I bet Tim would have said, it's all smashed up. It's like, well, then how'd you know? So show us Scott's smashed components and show us that it's not the same.
There's a fair chance that the person that was asking that question is paid by Indy and who owns Indy.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. That's
and like you said, name on the doors, name on the building, name on the team is, So if it was me and that, I'd be like, everything has to be squeaky clean here, guys, because otherwise I'm going to look like a deal.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong.
And we know that, NASCAR and IndyCar, yes, they do. Everyone, they push the boundaries.
It's like the web glove with Logano. That was a Penske car.
Huge, man.
Like, come on, like you just, and it's like, it was grey silicon. Wasn't even black on the car, but like you could probably spot it from 5 meters away. Like,
it's not good, is it?
I don't know.
But the more and also like even the pods we listen to, every time this comes up, almost everyone's like, well, it's Penske, like that, and that's really sad. As the most successful team in US history, probably
global history.
Yeah, I mean to have a bit of a. People are starting to say like it's what they do, and I'm like that would kill Roger. Like that would not be a good. You'd be starting to go like fuck me, guys. And even coming back to the stuff here in Supercars, like I watched the.
You drove from. What were you fucking fudging when you drove from?
Well, the thing is, like, I talk about the penalties though, and because they're such a powerhouse, like we all know that like there was some pressure put on supercars and stuff by them, but the Bathurst one for me was disappointing. That a week or two after the event, Scotty Mack lost pole position for the illegal motor. I still think, and we went through it with Scotty on the pod, and it was good how it was all explained, but unfortunately when something falls outside the rules, to lose your qualifying lap but still get the result and the starting position and the race win is probably what a lot of people were disgruntled by. But and the reason I'm saying this is Pat O'Ward today in the press conference said people got bumped from this race. If they qualified with those two cars, if they qualified with that,
they should be bumped, yeah.
Unfortunately, like the rule's the rule. It's illegal. So the guys that got bumped should be in, and those two cars should be out of qualifying now. That's Indy 500. That's just because there's a bump out. You don't make the cut, you're out. And unfortunately, if two cars are found to have something wrong, I don't know. Rules are rules, aren't they? It's a shame.
Yeah, and I can see how the other competitors from the other teams, like you would, that this is our chance to kick them while they're down, like, and they're going to get up and they're going to say all that sort of stuff. But and in America, especially America, not just America, but especially America, NASCAR, IndyCar, it comes through in our comments, and it's a valid point that all of those teams are working in the grey. Do you think it's more that because Penske has such a big name that we just remember them all? Like, because all the teams are regularly, maybe not in Indy, but NASCAR, like quite regularly other teams will fail tech and shit, and you kind of, but as soon as have they been like tarred with that brush because how big they are and how powerful they are? Do you think we just think about it a bit more?
That's possible.
I mean, I know it does look bad, like the conflicts of interest I know
exactly what you mean, yeah. No, I think it's a good point. And that might be someone that can do it in the comments. Let us know. And are other teams, I mean, I guess they're just big though, like that Penske one where they lost like 3 races in Indy last year. Like really it cost Scotty Mack nearly the championship.
I think I saw something the other day. Their Porsche team in IMSA that Matty Campbell drives for is undefeated this year. One of the two cars has won every race. So they're an amazing squad, which, you've been lucky at one of the very few around the world that gets to drive for Roger Penske. So, like, how, but yeah, so maybe there's a bit of that too because they are such a giant. We just instantly think of it, tall poppy syndrome kind of stuff, like, cheaters.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I think so. I mean, I don't think this is a tall poppy one for us because
not in Australia as such.
But the tall poppy thing, I think, is, and I thought about this the other day actually, because a lot of people do use the tall poppy thing as like anytime they're doing well, they think someone's hating on them. I think it makes people feel like they're more relatable. Like when someone's having heaps of success, they try and bring them down because it makes them feel better about their own stuff. But this stuff with Penske, I don't think we think of that as like a tall poppy thing. I think you're right about their success, and maybe it's more of a headline than like a backmarker team. But that's also why, like, people call T8 cheaters.
Yeah.
T8 are like the most scrutinised team in the pit lane. It is almost impossible for them to get anything done. Like their shit is tested more than anyone in the pit lane because they're at the front. And this is where you've almost got more responsibility though to be a straighty 180 because the spotlight's on you and you should know that. So doing stuff like the silicon, that's where I'm like, you make a good point. Maybe they're making the headline, but they've got to be aware they're making a headline. So maybe be very careful with what you're doing.
Oh, I get what you're saying. It's like when you're having a good weekend, the first thing I say to my guys...
They're going to check everything.
...is I'm like, just put an extra 5 litres of fuel in it. Because I do not want to, like, roll in on the podium and be a kilo underweight or some shit. So I'd rather have an extra 10 kilos I got to drag around me than fail tech.
Yeah.
On weight or something. So, or right, I'm like, throw another mil in it. Who cares?
Yeah, because you're right. When you are having a good weekend, that's when they're going to look for everything. So it's a shame because even that already overshadowed the pole man, which... unbelievable effort to see Prema turn up to the Indy 500 for the first time, get a pole position as a rookie team, and then Schwartzman as well to come out and go bang, like unbelievable. Even the way he talked about qualifying prior to the Fast 12, Fast 6, it was really cool. He's saying, like, I've driven Formula 1 cars and everything, and there is nothing like, hanging on for 4 laps, just like waiting for it to be over because it's such a knife's edge and you're going so fast. He said it was really exciting, the most exciting thing he's ever done. Yeah,
and because obviously, and listening to the lap, it was interesting hearing his engineer talk to him because they've got which we found out in the pod with Will Power, the weight jack and all the stuff they got in the car to try and tune it over the run. So that it would be hard. Like, you're hanging on at 230
Yeah.
whatever mile an hour, but also like they're moving weight jackers and they're changing things in the car to try and just keep that balance across the full lap as the tyre and fuel and everything degs off. Like,
Even how they use the hybrid.
Yeah.
I'm like, all that stuff. You're right. It's like there's so much involved in.
you'd get out after full laps and it'd be like you'd just race in the rain for half an hour. Like I reckon your brain would be like, because you'd be hyper focused. Like, you know, when you get those headaches after a wet race because you've just been like dialed in for
No
so
blinking,
long.
your eyes are dry. Yeah, you got the
like,
headache.
I just reckon a full lap, what would that take? 2 minutes, not even?
Yeah.
Like, I reckon you'd be absolutely drained.
Yep. So Robert Schwartzman, pole, second place, Takuma Sato. He's another one, two-time IndyCar, Indy 500 champ. Just turns up to this race and whack,
Bang.
puts it on the front row. I mean, he's unbelievable at this place.
He's always in contention in the race too.
Yeah, so that's cool to see. Good to see him do that. And then Pato Award, P3, Scotty Dixon. Pretty much claim him as an Aussie, but he's a Kiwi. We'll take him for this
Jeez,
one.
that's going to cause a stir in the comments. No?
Felix Rosenquist. There's a few. It's really cool to see some of these names that have raced all around the world as well, coming over and like coming into the US and doing IndyCar now. Like I think it's, and this is what we said about Will Power, to stay competitive for such a long time. Scotty Dixon, another one. When all these guys are, they're ones that didn't get the opportunity, not through lack of talent, most of them, but budget and things to get into Formula One.
Timing, yep.
And they're rocking up in IndyCar, and yeah, it's cool to see so many different names. I think Christian Lundgaard was really good. I mean, Marcus Ericsson in F1.
Yep.
So yeah, top 10. I mean, Scotty Mack, unfortunately,
Where did Armstrong qualify, mate? Did he?
he had a crash.
Did he make the start?
But he's down in 32nd.
So that's another Kiwi.
So he just made it in. So Renus VK was the first to get bumped. I believe Marcus Armstrong just made it in.
Yep.
Sorry, I just saw a comment pop up in there. But I guess the top 12, so the fast 12 is, of course, 12th is going to be Will Power and Joseph Newgarden 11th because of their penalty. Scotty Mack had a crash, but he starts 10th because of the 2 disqualifications, and then Marcus Ericsson 9.
So Will Power starts 12th, doesn't he? Because he didn't get to run the session. Is that right?
So they made it through to the top 12.
Yeah.
But then that's the thing that's a little bit unfair, isn't it? That they qualified with the same car. They just decided not to do the top 10 shootout effectively and went, no, we'll just sit out.
Yeah.
That's Pato Award's point, I think.
Yeah, it is
rules
a weird,
are rules.
It is a weird thing. You'd be like, maybe they go rear grid or something, or it's I don't know. I mean, it's obviously how they run it, but to your point, mate, Will Power said to us, he goes, Europe's lucky to have IndyCar.
Definitely.
Because when these guys that are so good and could be in F1, but timing, money, whatever doesn't work out for them, they can still go race an open wheeler category that is as competitive as Formula One, if not more. Like the midfield of IndyCar, I would say is far more competitive probably than the midfield of F1. Big statement, I know, but potentially.
Yeah, I would. I mean, Formula One has this like aura about them being the best in the world, but they are a select few that are.
Yeah, correct. There's probably 80 people maybe that could do a very similar job in the world.
Yeah,
and especially like
when you start looking at like Porsche factory drivers and things, like there's people around the world that have gone off and done GT and stuff because
Dan Tickton
couldn't afford
top 3 in the world.
Yeah. Self-proclaimed best driver in the world. But anyway, one that I wanted to shout out actually, because Connor Daly is a guy who works his ass off to get these opportunities. He's tested in Formula One as well, but he puts together the budget and works really hard. I was excited to see him get the budget together this year to race IndyCar.
All right, I like him.
Yeah, really good dude. He actually just missed out on the fast 12 and 13th. I saw an interview with him where he said he felt like he made a mistake.
He was bummed. He was real hard on himself. I saw that interview. Yeah.
But hopefully he has a good race. And I mean,
but I like that. Like I like it when people own it.
Yeah, he definitely did that.
You go, I reckon the team gave me a reasonable car, and I reckon I cooked that a little bit. You know, like rather than very easy for the guys to go, oh, we just missed the window.
Yeah.
Well, hang on, was the window you or the car champ? Like,
yeah. No, that was good, definitely. So, and it is good. He seems like such a good dude. I've spoken to him a few times, and always been a really good dude. I think I just appreciate when I see someone, and I know that his dad obviously was in Formula One, and a lot of people expect that that's why they get to where they do. But following what he's done, he works hard to put that package together. I think that's why he's one of the popular guys in the lane as well. So that's cool. Rossi 14th. He's had a bit of a tough run lately. But anyway, this Sunday coming is the Indy 500.
Do you have their time in Australia that the race starts, mate? Sorry to put you on the spot.
I should have done that before.
Sorry, that's all right. It'll be Monday morning, guys.
Yeah, it'll be a Monday morning. I'm sorry. I should have definitely
That's all right.
I didn't put that in though. But Sunday
We'll
coming.
put it on our socials though. We'll do a little video saying, hey, if you want to watch Scotty Mack or Will Power.
Twisted Drift said it's like 3 a.m.
Okay, well,
might record that one.
I'll be asleep for sure.
That's
but
the
it goes
problem.
for a long time, that race.
It does, but that's the problem, isn't it? With motorsport in general outside Australia, we get the raw end of the stick. Like we've got Oscar in Formula One doing as good a job as he is, but it's very difficult for the people that just sit on the couch once every now and then and catch Formula One.
Yeah.
You don't get exposed to it because unless you're a diehard, it's going to get up and watch it. Like last night, I stayed up and watched it, loved it. One of the best races. But if it was on at midday on a Sunday, Australia would be right behind Oscar Piastri.
Barbecues would be, the Webbers would be fired up, the beers would be cold.
Yeah. So it's a shame. Like it does suck a bit, doesn't it?
We need to sign a petition that Formula One moves to a Saturday race
Yeah.
and NASCAR goes to a Friday or Saturday so we can watch them on the weekends.
Yeah, exactly. And someone put in here, Andrew Day, just cutting back to the Scotty Dixon. He was actually born in Brisbane, so Scott Dixon is an Aussie.
Right.
So that's definitely going to upset
You're
a few
just
people.
going to fire people. Like, we've already got podcasts in New Zealand saying our fucking sound checks aren't real. What's going to happen next?
But one question I want to throw out there
Is that getting warm?
finish it.
That's,
Yeah, go on then. Go
what are you doing? Jesus.
All right, go on then. Give me the second. Well, you're the bartender. You meant to ask me would I like another.
Mate, you're not bloody backwards and coming forwards normally when you're asking for a freshie.
I actually, sound check.
That was fake.
Every time. See that? We're live. That's real. Okay. Every time we're just that good at doing it. I want to throw it out there though. Do we think it's a conflict of interest with Penske owning the IndyCar Championship?
Yeah, I probably think it is.
It's tough, isn't it? Like, and I know you can't prevent someone from buying the championship if they want to buy it, but to have competitors in it, like, is it? Yeah, I want to hear from. I want to see what the consensus is amongst the fans. Do we think that is something that is a conflict?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's very easy for a lot of background noise when that's the case.
Yeah.
Whether it actually is a genuine conflict,
Yep.
but I just think it creates a lot of background chatter. It makes it really easy for other teams and competitors to go, well, you fucking own the championship. Like, so, did he have to do it? Probably not.
And as a disclaimer, we actually do want. Well, I'll speak for myself, but we want Will or Scotty to win.
Oh,
Like I'm all for them.
And I'm all about what Roger's about, and like his team's amazing.
Yeah,
and
I'm
stuff,
not
but
saying-
it's just general chat. Like when stuff like this happens, it can be a bad look. So did he need to own the championship? Does he need to own Indianapolis, the racetrack?
But then and I don't know. Was IndyCar in trouble? Did he
I'm
bail
sure-
it out? Has he? And that's the thing.
I'm sure he's done it for a reason.
If he's helped it out, then okay, then it's for the greater good, and maybe there is a conflict, but it's also he's helped IndyCar more than
And
the
I
conflict
think
is.
I think you mentioned it too, mate. His probably justification is that, well, Tim Cindric's running this part of it, or whoever. I've got staff members. I'm out of it. Even though it's my name on the door, like I've paid for it,
I
whatever.
can say from my little experience with Roger for a couple of years, there's no way he's not involved. I actually, so the hats that they wore at DJR, I wanted to have good hats and I wanted to have the Pi 17 on the side. Roger had to approve the hat. So like he is, as a guy with over 40,000 employees or whatever, he's in touch with everything, especially when it comes to motorsport.
Actually, that's something I wanted to ask you too, because he's very like he's a real stickler. So like shirts have to be tucked in, clean shaven, all that. How does Blaney get away with his beard, being a Penske driver? Because I know you weren't allowed your beard, were you?
Well, he does. I don't think he minds as long as it's like clean, But he did say once. So Roger never told me I had to be clean shaven. Everyone's always like, oh, you have to be. It's Penske way. But once, and I always. So I think everyone assumes this is what the Penske way is. They know that it's shirts tucked in and tidy, and everyone is like that. But. And that's probably the good thing about that team is like you don't have to be told by Roger to sort of know what the standard
message
is.
gets filtered down.
You know what the standard is. You know what Roger's, and that's the impressive thing. But it was funny because once I had a run-in with Scotty Mack at Barbagallo in a practice session, and I was real pissed off. I was at Walkinshaw, and I went down the lane. I walked straight through the garage. Roger Penske was at because MTU, the Detroit Diesel thing in Perth, is over there, so he was there for that round. And as I walked in, I was fuming, and as I walked past, he just stopped me and went, "Oh, the beard looks good, Scotty. Like, I like that." And I'm like, "The fuck? We thought we had to be."
You're like, give me a minute, Roger. I'm about to spray someone.
Yeah, well, I did, but I was kind of caught off guard because I thought, hang on, for like 2 years, I thought I had to be. I grew this
I've
actually.
been looking like a child for the last 3 years, mate. Are you saying I could have had this?
I grew the beard in spite of them once I left. It was actually that was the reason the beard came out. I was like, fuck these guys, I'm going full
lumberjack.
And then he said he liked it, and I didn't really know what to do. I thought, fuck, this was meant to,
Because I was watching the NASCAR full speed.
Yes, yeah,
Full
yep.
Speed?
The Netflix documentary, which is unbelievable.
I love it. I love it. I should have known the name of it with how much I love it. But yeah, I was just watching the debrief at Penske the other day with Ryan Blaney, and I was like, oh, his is like quite, like
Bush.
it's a decent beard. Like, the guy can grow a great beard. And I was like, I wonder how he gets away with that. Because like I thought, everyone else in there is very clean cut. And Logano looks like a salesman and all that shit.
Yep.
And then he's there and he's like, I guess, has that rugged party boy aura about him.
Yeah.
Goes and delivers on the track. Amazing. But I just thought, I wonder how he gets away with that, being Penske's like top dog.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's got some hairy arms now. He probably can't control it. It's probably like 40. That's probably 48 hours growth.
Here we are.
Have you seen he's a hairy dude. Like for me to grow a beard, it's like a good month or two to get a deep. I swear Blaney's like 48 hours, I reckon, growth. So Roger's probably like, you know what, dude?
We can't afford to buy
Too
more
much.
razors.
Yeah, you're taking too much time away from the racing to keep shaving your beard. So let it grow out.
Be like my bloody neck, mate.
We'll get into Formula One next, just quickly. The Supercar CEO, this is worth interjecting here, but the Supercar CEO got announced today, which is
James Warburton.
James Warburton.
James Warburton. Yeah.
I think it's good news, and I reached out to a few people today and asked them what their thoughts were.
What's the gospel?
And yeah, good. I actually think it's good. I'm surprised that they didn't go outside the pool of past CEOs. I think that would have been.
Why did they say? I'm sure you would have probed, mate. But why do they think it's a good move? Because I know nothing about. Like I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. I don't know. Yeah, anything about it.
Well, I think he got an opportunity to go and do something else. It wasn't like.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things. He was doing a good job, they believed.
Right.
And it wasn't that they got rid of him because he sucked. Like a lot of people going, well, why would you go back? You tried and tested before, it didn't work. But it wasn't that it didn't work. I think James Warburton is actually a really good CEO and he got an opportunity to go just do something else. And now he's coming back. I can see where the fans are coming from though, because people haven't been happy for quite a long time with the direction of the sport. So this might have been seen as an opportunity to go outside the norm and do a global search for a CEO that could take supercars into its next phase, I guess. And that may be where some of the fans are disappointed, and that I can understand. So I think it's a safe pair of hands. Whether he's going to come in and rewrite the book, I don't know. And that's the one thing as a fan, I hope he does come in and really grabs the bull by the horns and tries to change it.
My thoughts are with it is, and as I say, this is from having no idea really about him or how he operates, but just from what I understand. So, yep, as a business in supercars, he will hit the ground running because he knows it, right? So from day one, he's an automatic starter. He's on. He's making shit happen.
Yep.
They're obviously in negotiations with the TV package, and he was the last person to broker the decent TV package that helped the teams out financially quite a bit, is my understanding. So, is it? He's just a walk-up starter. So from day one, he can make change, which is good because in one of the articles, and it's true, if someone comes from outside the sport, it's going to take them ages to actually change anything because they're not going to know anything about the sport or the business. So potentially there's a bit of a delay time before shit starts to get rolling.
That's a nice way to soften the blow, though. But I'll let you carry on. Like I think that's no.
But I'm saying
that's a nice PR spin.
But potentially, like if the sport needs change, it needs it now, and you don't have 12 months to build someone up, it's not a bad. As a short-term thing, he can come in, make some changes quickly, do a decent TV deal quickly, and then bugger off within 24 months.
Yeah. And then
is that potentially...
Then we're fucked again.
Well, are they then potentially going to bubble someone away in the background?
No. There's no way anyone that is worth their weight in gold as a CEO is not going to bubble away in the background getting coached on how to... I think.
Oh, when I say bubble away, like their search continues to bubble away to find the right person that then can... progress on for another 5-10 years stint or whatever.
But are you desperate to fill the... Like, if you're desperate, I guess, then... But then is that the right...
Well, they need to do something
but
because...
what I'm saying is if you take this PR spin away and say, well, we needed someone, you never make a decision in desperation. And that's what you're saying. If you take the PR spin away from it and they go, well, we needed someone now, even if it's a 24-month solution... I'm
not saying it's not desperate, their move.
Yeah, but then that's bad. So... you're asking the question. I'm saying I think, in my opinion, then that wouldn't be the right decision to make. You'd be better off without an active CEO for a period, or continue with the one we've got for the moment until you're like, yep, this is the guy. Because you don't want another 24-month CEO or whatever. Like that's...
It could last forever. I'm just saying, is that why they've gone back to the steady set of hands that they know?
Well, that's what they've said, yeah.
Like, is that why they're putting the old sneakers on?
Yeah.
I mean,
but that's what they've said. But I think that, from what I heard, like the few people I asked think that it's a good move, and hopefully it is. I think
what was their reasons?
Like I think any CEO, just that they do think he can. I didn't really go, can you give me like a list of 10 items?
Very unlike you, Scott.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go like, what's the 10 items he's going to come in and change? Because we know what needs to be changed with the sport. So they're just saying, yes, he's a competent CEO that could create change in the sport and take it in the direction it needs to go. They're not going to know, like, yep, his first line item is going to be X. He doesn't run a campaign like a politician and gives you like, here's our first 6 things when I get into Parliament. Anyway. No, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't ever, there's no point asking. It's just, can this guy
it's more just like, why is he, like, is it because he's...
That's why.
Has he got like, is he someone that's got a set of plums and he's going to push back on team owners that are vocal?
What do you want me to say?
Oh, I'm just wondering if you know. Like,
I just told you. They think, yeah.
Yeah, but you raced. Did you have any dealings with him when you were racing and he was CEO?
No. I don't think drivers really have... much. Unless you're an older driver that's trying to line up a TV gig or something, then you start to deal with the CEO. No, but I mean, legitimately, they start to, like that's what they do. They start to chat with them more because they're talking about like, what could we do with TV and stuff. And so older drivers might do that, but I was quite young, like when he was in, I think it was 13 to 15 or something.
Yeah, so it was your first couple of years, so you probably
my first 2 years.
Attention, yeah.
But I just think a CEO from a sport, like if you went to the US or something, that was where I was kind of excited thinking maybe they'd go somewhere else because they would have spent 6 months looking at the sport and go, okay, like, you go to someone and go, we're considering you for this role or whatever, give us your pitch. And if they're going to consider the job, they'd look at the sport, see what the low-hanging fruit is and come back and go, yeah, this is what I think I can change the sport. Then as a category, you go, that guy's a gun, like that's the shit we need. I don't know, if they did that or not, but hopefully they have. Hopefully he is the best one of those candidates, but it's like the broadcast. Like we keep saying that they need to do a audition process. Yeah. Do they do interview? Like how deep did this go? Did it go out to a lot of people? Did they send people internationally and look at, because our sport, it's pretty competitive out there. We need to do something different.
Yeah, it's interesting that because GM have gone and got Simon McNamara back in the fold. He was obviously head of motorsport when Holden was big and spending a lot of money in the sport. And then now Supercars has gone back and grabbed someone that used to be the CEO as well. So
yeah,
it's interesting that GM and Supercars have both gone to choose someone that they know and trust, obviously, to try and revivalise the sport. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I just noticed a lot of the drivers or people in the sport were all saying, oh, it's amazing on social and stuff, and I was just wondering why, because I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I think...
Or are they just mates, or like,
I think what he did do with that TV deal you talk about was all good. I think the stuff you mentioned is why. But all I did was get a character summary, like, is this guy good for the sport? Do you think a CEO? Yep, he's great.
Right.
I'm like, okay. And they're people that have been around the sport for a long time, I'm like, okay, I can only trust what they do. So I guess my message is the fans, like, because I've seen the comments, like people are like, it's been negatively received. Like, if it was a listed company, your stocks would be down. Like when you go and read any of the comments, it's just so negative. And I'm like, I think
that's, it's a bit of a trend though lately.
It is a bit, like, but hopefully it's exciting. I'm saying I hope it is exciting. I hope it is good. I hope he comes back with fresh ideas. And he's been out of the sport for a while too. Maybe he's actually sat on the side and gone, fuck, I wish I could get my hands back on that. I could really do these things with it.
I think it'll be good from the broadcast or TV point of view because he's worked within that industry quite a lot. Like he worked at 7 and 10.
Yeah, I think he was CEO of 7, wasn't he, after he left Supercars? Is that right?
I'm not sure what his title was, but I'd assume it would be a like-for-like title. They generally don't go backwards or downwards. But that, to me, is kind of exciting because he will have his finger on the pulse on what other, broadcast packages are working and things like that. And we've been vocal, obviously, about some of that stuff and the socials, and which has improved, to be honest. Like the social media from Supercars has improved dramatically this year. Like I even said the other day, like the stuff they're pumping out now is so much better. They did that funny memes one from Tassie. Yeah. And I was like, this is the shit.
I think you sent it to me going, fuck, finally, like some...
Well, George sent it to me going, this is actually pretty fucking funny. And I hadn't seen it and I clicked on it and I was like, good on them. Like they're actually doing, I guess for the demographic now that's probably watching it more, I don't know. So they're changing shit up is basically my point, which I think is good. So I think that side of it's really good. Exciting to get someone with some TV knowledge or background to then try and just fix that. And
Yeah.
they've got Eddie Maguire's company going in doing a bit of an audit at the moment. It looks like over broadcast.
Whether he said it's a rumor or not, but someone had put in, I'd seen somewhere that Scaife and Eddie somehow have some relationship.
I've got no.
And I'm like,
I've got
God, if that's the case, like that's just another pay your mate deal.
Well, it means Crumpo will be gone, doesn't it? If there's going to be change.
Yeah, but something else seems to come in quite a lot is a few people mentioning about car changes and things that, like, I think the product we have at the moment doesn't really need touching. Like, you look at IndyCar, and I feel like Supercar is quite simple. The racing's really good.
The racing, well, especially, mate, this year's been.
And you compare that to Formula One, and Formula One's racing's no good, really. Well, last night we had a great race, which we'll get to quickly, but the racing in Supercar is fantastic. So the product itself, like, you can go and change, like, the diff in the thing or do whatever you want to do as these 1%ers.
Yeah.
What?
No, I'm just laughing about it because the diff's been such a big talking point over the years.
But do it if you like. But it's not going to make a 17-year-old lad tune in or, you know, him and his girlfriend sit on the couch and watch because they change the diff. Like, who gives a shit, really? Like, the racing's great. I think the racing's exciting, but it's the stuff outside of that. Like, it'd be interesting to see with the change in CEO, do we get a phone call and say, hey, actually like what we're doing, just keep it up? You know, is it something that they start to go, actually, the podcast stuff we've seen in other sport, we've seen it in politics, that podcast stuff is huge. Like, it's an independent, trusted media outlet that talks directly to the fans, should not be cancelled. So maybe that might be something they change. You know, it's the stuff outside the product, I think, that needs work. It is the commentary needs, you know, updating stuff. I think the
at least listen to the fans because, like, as we see, like, that's why the comments, like I say, the trend is negative, but the trend's been negative for a little while in social media comments because they feel like they're not getting hurt. So people are like, fuck you, man. I'm going to keep beating on the door till someone listens, right? So,
well, I mean, even this was meant to be like a 2-minute just call out about the CEO. And of course you have a few comments come in, and that's the idea is we, you know, and I'm saying about some of the comments I've seen, it steers the conversation because I saw a lot of it's negative. I'm passing on to you that I asked a few people that I know are respected when I read the comments, and they have told me they think it's a good thing. So, you know, it's not that, we're not always going to say what people like to hear, like the category likes to hear, but we're also we're a good addition because, you know, as an independent party that just talks to the fans, I think, you know, embracing us and just going, yep, you keep doing your thing. Yeah, we're not going to always like it, but we're not going to call you up and tell you off or try and stop you from fucking getting media accreditation at the racetrack. Like, for fuck's sake, like, you turn up and they're like, this isn't for Apex Hunters. Is like, who gives a shit anyway? If we are, like, it should be a good thing if we turn up there. I don't want to get asked, who's this media cred for?
We should sell Apex Hunters stuff at Darwin and really piss them off. Well, let's just give everyone that's at Darwin a stubby holder or something.
Yeah, that would be free stubby holders. I don't know if that might bankrupt us. 30,000 free stubby callers.
Oh, yeah, might. But it'd be funny though, seeing everyone walking around with the Apex Hunters stubby holder.
It would be good. Or just hats with a giant logo on there, so every shot is there. But anyway, that's CEO, I think, big change. Someone did pop in here that Tickford just had a car stolen. I don't know, maybe let us know, was that true or is that not? But yeah, the product itself's good, so hopefully the CEO focuses on the stuff outside the car. And F1, let's get into that, mate.
Yeah, let's do it.
Great race.
That was the idea of the show, was to talk about the F1. We've got to it finally.
The race for Formula One was really exciting. Not ideal if you're
shame for Oscar,
a diehard Oscar fan.
So he poled it, but then just the race didn't go his way, did it? Max was bloody good. I watched that first lap. I was like, he's just so like committed and just just swings his dick around, doesn't he? Like, that's what it looks like. Like, he's just so confident. He just bombed it in there, as you said earlier. Like, just made everyone else look like they broke 10, 15 metres too early, and he just tipped her in.
Yep.
Job done.
Yeah. I even thought, like, the TV commentators didn't even react, I think, as much as they should have, because I think it caught them off guard. Like, their replay, they were like, wow. Like, it was when they went back and watched the replay, they actually went, holy shit, because they were looking, I think that, you know, driving up to one, it almost just looked like, oh, yes, Oscar's got it. Like, and you sort of then looked third to fourth, and you're like, what's happening there? And you almost just like, I feel like they didn't realise at the moment or expect it was going to happen. And holy shit, like, I mean, Oscar, it definitely could have, looking at it, like when he watches the replay, of course, and Oscar seems like the guy doesn't beat himself up, he'll just learn from it and he won't do it again. Definitely had the space to move over a little bit and block, because the move down the inside from George was never going to happen, because just the radius of the corner, you don't dive down the inside there, it's always outside. So I think he could have blocked Max. But then also, I feel like a lot of them have got used to the runoff being tarmac, and if you outbrake yourself, there's not really a consequence. At that track, if you outbrake yourself, it's gravel. And I don't know if that's why he went conservative. Like thought, well, if I overshoot this, I'm in the gravel, and I could lose the lead. So he went conservative, thinking he had it in the bag. And Max didn't give a shit about the gravel. He just straight around the outside and schooled Oscar like. It was unbelievable. I thought it was one of the coolest passes. Like you said, it was he sat there swinging his dick in front of him, just going,
It was just like
catch me if you can.
Threw it over his shoulder and said, "Here we are, boys, tip her in." And like I was just like, "Where did that come from?" Like it looked bizarre. That's how good it was. It looked out of place.
I loved it. I think that track too. Bring back gravel traps. Bring back the grass edges.
Yep.
I think it was great that. That I even think if the gravel trap wasn't there, the move that Leclerc, so Albon tried to go around Leclerc, on the other tracks, I feel like they probably would have said, nah, the move stays. But because there's gravel and he pushed him across the gravel trap, they went, no, you need to redress that. You actually need to let him pass. Because everywhere we've been, they just peel off the brake, drive straight to the outside of the next corner and force them off.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I think Albon was side by side, but he wasn't actually in front.
Yep.
So as you're saying, off their regular ruling, it shouldn't have been a penalty.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I thought it was good. I thought it was good that Albon tried to hang it there and like they put on a show. They were racing.
Loved it. Yeah.
He rejoined, all good. But I'm the same. I thought, oh well, he actually wasn't in front. So if they're being consistent with their normal shit, they probably shouldn't have. It probably shouldn't have. Like, you said to me at Philippine a year and a half ago, you go to the outside, you make your own arrangements.
Yep.
Like. It's kind of like that. He's having a go. Good on him for having a go, but also he should know that potentially,
that's what's
if he doesn't get it done, he's going to end up off.
Yep. And I loved Albon said after the race. I've not heard a driver put it like this either. He goes, I was actually, I probably was a little bit ambitious, and when I should have been more patient. And he goes, but to be honest, I was licking my lips thinking I could get Oscar. And when I heard someone say I was licking my lips, because you are, it's that moment you're like, I fucking got you.
Come here, son.
And I loved that. I thought that's so cool. And that's the thing. Like, and good on him. Like he is in a Williams, and he battled third to fifth all day. Unbelievable.
And if
Sainz as well, I feel bad. He doesn't get a mention now because of the way the strategy unfolded, but he was in front of Albon. And those guys, I think it was fucking cool to see Williams do it. And I actually liked that, he didn't get Oscar, but he has had now, I think, 3 top 5 finishes from the last 5. He's doing unreal. Williams in general, I think Carlos needs a bit of luck, but it was cool to see him just have a crack around the outside. It sucked that he lost the spot to Lewis. I would have liked to have seen him finish 4th and have a go at Oscar.
Leclerc, in that fight with Albon too, he would have seen the flash of blue in his mirror and been like, fuck, Williams didn't pass me. Not around the outside, so.
The F1 race prompted me to put in that question about what you think about the safety car, about the competition caution.
Yeah.
Because in Formula One, so if there's a red flag and you haven't taken your pit stop, you can actually change tyres under the red flag.
Right.
Which is madness because it means that if you've pitted and the guy behind you hasn't, he's in front of you then because you've pitted, he can then change his tyres and just remain in front of you. I think that's crazy. But that's sort of similar to a competition caution. It's luck. You don't know if a red flag's going to come out. And then the thing with the safety car as well, because they get reduced to that speed, under a virtual safety car, it was 10 seconds at Imola that they saved if they were able to pit under that. So Max got kissed on the dick with that as well. I mean, he still would have been in front, but not by 10 seconds. Like that advantage he got was huge. And then later in the race as well, it happened again. So people can take a stop under that. And that, I feel like the race, they're talking about, and that's why I asked about the competition caution, because it's kind of the same. You don't know when it's going to come. It's pure luck. Charles Leclerc, Grand Tour Richard threw in there, Leclerc was saying, what did I do wrong? And he agrees with him. I agree as well. But for me, I stayed up last night until almost 3 o'clock in the morning watching the post-race interviews and everything after the race, just because I enjoyed that so much. And it wasn't because it's Imola. Well, yes, the gravel traps, I think, add to it, but it was because we had those almost competition cautions that threw a variable, and as a fan, it actually made it exciting, because without that, Imola is hard to overtake. They would have been on the same tyre. It would have been a pretty straightforward, dull race. But that's why I asked, what do you think? Because that happened in Formula 1, it was exciting. Yeah, they should do it at, not every race, but at select races that are potentially going to be snoozers. Like the fan vote, almost. So it's like, all right, between lap this and here, so whatever the window could be a 20, 30 lap window, fan vote, you pick, and the one that gets the most votes,
that's when it comes out. And no one knows.
That's the lap.
No one knows, but it just gets sent to them. There's an internal poll that gets, you text the number or whatever, or you do it on Twitter, whatever it is. It comes back to them, and then all of a sudden, and then fans feel like, I fucking picked like 37. Like, I caused that.
And it's never going to happen because it's Formula One, but you're right. Like, that's the
that would
stuff
be cool, though.
You need something because
fan engagement, random as hell.
Yep.
Like, it would spice things up because, as you say, someone might have just pitted.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Someone might have hung out and got it right.
Yep. Yeah, so it's whacked man, driver of the day to caution of the day.
There you go, yeah.
But it is, I mean, Formula One would never do it because, to be honest, it is such an elitist sport. And we're lucky now that someone else took over the ownership of the sport because they've opened up, they've revealed the curtain a little bit for fans. But Formula One is still not for the common man. Like, it's definitely like NASCAR would do something like that, and they do. Because they sort of want the fans' engagement, whereas Formula One...
NASCAR's all entertainment.
Formula One's very much like, we'll put the show on and you just be sort of grateful to be a witness to it, is what it seems like. But yeah, so I don't know if Formula One would ever do that, but they need to, because the Imola race last night, once, I think it was Ocon broke down through the first safety car, it just kicked off. And it was cool too, because even Pirelli brought a softer tyre, so no one really knew how that was going to last. But then when some of the guys started taking the two stops, they realised it was hard to overtake in the dirty air. So it was one of those races that, the strategy wasn't straightforward, but it was definitely helped by the safety cars. And that's why I think Formula One needs to look at something that is, it brings that variable in. Like, I do hate that the red flag, you can change tyres. I don't like the safety car, you can pit under it, because as a competitor, like we've talked about in supercars, like, should you, when a caution comes out, stop them pitting? Because I think then it actually forces you to get the pit stop done too. Like, if you know, if
brings you together, it then forces them to then actually have to do their stop under green,
prior to it, because that's the risk. You go, fuck, if we, we're pushing our luck here, if a safety car comes, you're screwed. But at the moment, it's like you actually stay out hoping for a safety car, especially at Imola, which is probably what Max did. They were like, well, we'll just stay out. That could even be an option. But yeah, anyway, good race. Oscar unfortunately lost the lead and then, was 4 seconds behind Max early, like lap 10, lap 12. He's already behind.
After Max made the move on lap 1, it kind of instantly broke my spirit because he had enough of a gap, and you could just, you can just tell by body language of cars.
Yeah, you just
if someone's got speed on it, I was like, I reckon.
Watching, the only thing that kept my hopes up though, and it just was completely shattered, was they've been talking a lot about the cooling system and the dual brake duct thing on the rear of the McLarens, and I was like, well, it's hot. There's no way the McLaren's not going to have better tyre deg. The Red Bull's just going to hit the cliff.
No.
Not even close. The Red Bull just was a jet all day, no tyre deg. I was like, fuck's sake.
Did you see Alonso's front brakes in his pit stop?
Yes. Crazy.
It's been a while since, I haven't seen that in a while. Like both of them just like, and still as he was rolling, they were still on fire until he left the lane.
Yeah, like until he actually got up to like 250 k's an hour, they're still on fire. Which, and you don't see it once you start moving. You don't normally see them catch on fire doing 100.
Yeah, usually it blows out after 40k or something. And I was like, oh, okay, they're still lit up.
Yeah, exactly.
You could kind of see his helmet too. He was like, fuck, they're still.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a cool race, and I think that it was good to see Albon be aggressive. Disappointed for Oscar with the strategy because I don't know if they were pressured into taking it because of Lando, and that's one thing as a team they need to decide, because I don't know that Oscar would have taken the two-stop as early as he did. Like, he was the first car to take it.
Oh, very early. Were they lap 14?
I think so, yeah. So, and it just did not work for him. But at the end of the day, that's what made the race. No one really knew what the strategy was, and they weren't on their own. But pace still got them through, because even the guys that took the two-stopper, a lot of them still came back through. I think that
Oscar's race was hard. He had to pass a lot of cars.
Fuck, he passed, and he passed well.
Yeah, like his racing was awesome. It was actually, it was a shame. I mean, he still finished third, great result. But yeah, it was actually kind of fun watching him come back through, because he was putting some good moves on.
Rob Ryan, you're saying the pit stop pissed him off, where they had two slow stops. But to be honest, mate, I don't think that really compromised his race all that much. Debbie Maffio, Oscar is better than Lando. That's a tricky debate at the moment.
I couldn't agree more with you, Debbie.
Hearing, it's obviously, we do agree, but it's hard, because it's funny when someone comes into Formula One and they're fast but make mistakes. Everyone's like, oh, they've got raw speed. But when someone like Oscar comes in who's fast and makes no mistakes, and I've sort of thought about this the last couple of days, where I'm like, he has been ridiculously fast from the start, but we've just said that he's consistent because he's made no mistakes, but he's actually been like right on Lando's heels as a rookie from day one. So, you know, if he had heaps of crashes, we would all be saying, fuck, his raw speed is unbelievable, but he makes too many mistakes. Yeah. I think Oscar's raw speed is unbelievable, and he makes no mistakes.
And that's why I think last time we did the show, we were chatting about F1, I said, I don't think we've seen the best of Oscar yet.
He's just getting better and better.
Like, because he hasn't made anything silly mistakes, which means he's obviously still within his comfort zone. Because eventually you'll get to a point where you're uncomfortable and you will make a mistake. Yeah. But he's not there yet, and he's still winning races and still
like last night, that was his mistake, really, by braking a little bit early. That's a learning curve, but it's not sticking a car out the fence.
It's not going too late and firing it in the wall, yeah.
Yep. And even his battle so later in the race, in the final stop, there was a late race safety car, and Oscar didn't have tyres to take. Lando did, so Lando took tyres, come out in third, and Oscar was in front of him with more worn tyres. But he held him off for a bit, and he stayed on the inside of turn one and actually beached itself on the curb and bounced across. And like, man, those two guys, like, they genuinely raced each other hard, because I thought they were going to crash. Like, it was that close when Oscar and Lando went around the outside and got him, but it was really close. Yeah, no. I thought it was a good move, but it was cool to see both of them clearly allowed to race each other.
Yeah, and I like that Oscar didn't just wave the flag and wave him past. He's like, yeah, you can have it.
Yep.
And I'll use as much curve as I can and all that stuff to try and, you know, give you as much space as I can, but I'm not going to make it easy.
Yep.
Is that the second one?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, you really plucked a gear there. You were nowhere.
Well, we're nearly wrapping this one up, Bubs. I have one more.
All right.
Fair memos. As always, they haven't been vetted. So
yeah, this could be rogue. We're going rogue. Could be real dodge.
And I don't know what these are about. So I did put up a post that just said F1, NASCAR and IndyCar. Give us your thoughts. Right. So let's see what we got here.
Scotty, Barbs, how you doing, lads?
Good.
Over the last couple of weeks, engine parity has raised its ugly head again. Here's some thoughts on how to fix that whole engine parity saga. Throw it away. Start again. New set of engine rules.
Oh.
Works like this. Supercars issues a restrictor plate that goes on the intake and another for the exhaust. Those restrictor plates are the same for everybody. Each team, every engine has the same. Teams can then build their own engines. Those engines must be naturally aspirated. The block and heads must be factory available castings. What they do inside those castings, completely open. If you want a big cubic inch monster, go for it. But if you're only getting so much air through that restrictor plate, you want to run a smaller engine, go for it. You want to run a smaller capacity, a 4-cylinder, a V6, whatever, go for it. As long as all your air is going through those restrictor plates. You want to go for a monster V8, that's fine too. All your air is going in and out through those restrictor plates. Let teams get creative. Potentially allow other manufacturers in. If Kia wants to come in and run a V6, go for it. If Toyota would rather run a 4-cylinder or an inline 6 in the Supra, go for it. GM and Ford, if they want to stick with the V8s, the overhead cam, like the quad cam, like the Ford, you know, run a smaller capacity and make it rev harder, go for it. GM, you're at the pushrod V8, you want to run a bigger cubic inch and make more torque that way,
go for it.
Go for it.
Got it.
All your air's coming in and out through those restrictor plates. Get rid of parity and just go for the two restrictor plates and just get creative in between them. That's it.
Not a bad shout, but it would drive up costs dramatically because guys are then just going to do so much engine development.
Comments? Want to run a unicycle? Go for it. Want to run a postie bike? Go for it.
So yeah, I just think then you got teams again with all this money and time and resources that then just, you know, there'll be a big gap between the field.
Be huge. And also then you run into the issue of, the haves and have-nots would be the biggest thing to start with. And then who's supplying the engines to the customer teams? And are they being built then the same as the big dogs? Are they going to be supplying them with an engine that, like, who's controlling who gets what? Because there's some teams that just can't afford to develop their own engine program.
Yeah, it works if everyone's got their own engine shop and they're doing it in-house, then you could do it. But again, it would just drive up costs and time and all that sort of stuff.
It just, unfortunately...
Hey,
it's not.
We're open to suggestions, but I probably can't see that one coming in. But it's not a bad shout. I mean, it would be cool because, I mean, I used to really enjoy when we had the Merc motor, we had the Volvo, like you had different sounds and stuff. Strengths and weaknesses from like yesteryear was always cool, like Group A, you know, had cars that were fast in the straight, but like that stuff was kind of cool, but unfortunately, I just can't see it coming into modern day racing.
Yeah. And we've still got the manufacturer battle as well, where they're going to want to use, and that's probably the biggest issue we have at the moment. The engines are so different, the Ford to the GM.
Yeah.
Trying to paritize that has been the issue because the problem with the Ford, as we've been told many a time by people in the lane, engineers, the way they paritize that is pretty much by cutting the power to it, don't they, Bubs? And that's kind of causing the engine not to run as efficiently as it should. Whereas the GM, they're actually, lovely. So the way they're paritizing it is by bringing the Ford engine back because its capability is much more.
Yeah.
And of course, if you let it run properly, it would be running better. So I think that, but also you're going to want a Ford block and a Chev block to win the race, and that's always going to be there. I think that's not going to go away, is it? But trying to paritize those two different engines, we're going
to have 3 next year, aren't we? With Toyota coming in, yeah.
But the easiest fix would be you run different bodies with the same engine. If you want to fix it, there's the cheapest way. Everyone has the same engine, same engine builder. It should be one engine builder.
It's like Trans Am, mate. They're all in LS.
Yeah.
But you don't have to, I've said this even with, because Trans Am cop ship, Ford fans, how do you have a Mustang body on a Chev engine? It's like, it's a T82 motor. You don't tell them what it is. You say it's a 6-litre.
But why is the engine any different?
No, but
we have a chassis that's the same.
No,
so why is all of a sudden the only thing that makes it?
It's the easy fix.
Is the engine,
and I don't think manufacturers would. I don't know. I'm sure they want to have their own engines in the cars, but I don't think it would stop them from playing.
Yeah,
I just don't. But I mean, I could be completely wrong. But to me, I still think
that people are saying about the engine being, I guess it's the heart of the car, and that's what they say. You know, we want a Ford to win or a Toyota to win next year or a Chev. But the cars are just a controlled component. We haven't had an Australian built car. I mean, even the ones Larry was built, they're not win on Sunday, buy on Monday cars. They were never. They were still a
space frame chassis. Yeah,
purpose built. You can't buy a space frame VT Commodore.
Sound check.
And yes, I know the VT. That was a perfect.
That was real too.
And yes, I know, the early days of Larry, I don't know what model they were. What were they? I know they weren't VTs. That was obviously early 2000, 2003,
started
I think it was
off
VT. But
VN, or they were early, before then.
But they weren't cars you buy off the showroom.
He was building cars back well before then too, anyway. But yeah, before we were alive, mate.
Sound check. Every time.
So crisp, and it's real.
Speedway Insiders, you're full of shit, mate. They're real every time. If you haven't as well, if you're enjoying the live stream, hit like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the show.
And if you're not, hit like and subscribe.
If you're not enjoying it, do it anyway. Next one.
Copy.
G'day, lads. Luke here. Loving the pod. Just a quick one. It's actually not NASCAR, Indy, or F1 related.
That's all right.
James Warburton, new Supercars CEO. Intrigued to hear your thoughts into him and what we can expect from him as CEO, because I'm sure me, a few others, probably casual guys, haven't heard much about him. Apart from the Frosty pod, I heard Frosty only had good things to say about him. So I'm intrigued to hear what you think about him and, what we can expect. Cheers.
Thanks, mate.
We covered that off.
We touched
Luke,
on that in the show, so hopefully we answer your question, mate. If not, just send us a DM and we'll do a better job.
John D.
Evening, fellas. John D here from New Zealand.
Oh, Kiwi.
Quick question. How do two young Aussie supercar drivers come over to New Zealand and race these single-seat Toyotas and beat all these young, up-and-coming potential future Formula One drivers in cars they've never driven, at racetracks they've never been to? Is this kind of the up-and-coming crop of these next Formula One drivers a bit overrated? Or should we see Will Brown and Drive to Survive in 2 years' time? I think I'd love to see some planes on Drive to Survive. It'd be quite nice, actually. Love the pod.
Thanks, bro.
Cheers, boys.
You'd be surprised how many of the supercar guys, and I did a little bit in Europe and raced against a few of them, and they're really good. They're amazing.
Mate, you had Bottas as a teammate.
Yeah, but they're really good. I'm not saying they're not, but I've come out here and And in supercars, the guys at the front. Will Brown could take it to anyone in the world, and he proved that by going up against Arvid Lindblad, who they reckon's the next F1 guru. So I think our backyard's pretty good. Just I think don't underestimate how good the supercar drivers are.
Yeah, and Brock was a perfect example of that. He'd never driven the car, went and put it on pole against Lindblad, who's meant to be apparently next in line at Red Bull.
Yep.
For Formula One, and these guys drive taxis.
Yeah.
So
and the numbers you never know are true, but I watched a video today that was like 44 million Lando's dad paid to get him into F1. And there's not many people that have that opportunity. Apparently paid 36 million to have a 3-year contract at McLaren. And it is like, and obviously Lando's turned out to be one of those guys that's a superstar. It's not saying he's not.
No.
But it's also saying that
you got to pay to play.
It's also saying that like he's a talent that without the money behind him would never have surfaced in Formula One, and that's what we're saying. There's a few of them out there.
Yeah. So there's so many, as you know, mate. You're on the path. There's so many layers and levels to get to Formula One that are extremely expensive. So karting in Australia now is a joke, in my opinion.
It is, yeah.
People are paying over $100,000 a year to try and run their kid in a kart, which is just blows my friggin' mind.
$200,000 a year, I've heard it is. Well, actually, David Serra, I'd like to get him on the pod soon.
Yeah, to get some insight on it.
Some of the numbers are nuts.
So that's before you even touch a car. If you want to make a career of it, you want to be professional. So that's entry level essentially. You've then got things like Super 2, which we know is $500,000 plus. Yep. For then supercars, let's just say it's potentially $1 million of commercial backing. You're probably going to need, if you're any good, to get an opportunity as a rookie. Formula One is that on steroids. I think it's like F4 now is like $1 million. I think.
F4 is £400,000.
Yeah, so nearly $1 million Aussie. And then you've got F3, which is it's like 2.5 mil Oz, I think.
Yeah, about that.
And then you got F2, which is probably double that again. It almost doubles each time. And then you got F1.
Yeah.
So if you spend a year in each junior category, you're probably going to spend 5 to 6 if you're amazing.
Well, Lando, Oscar's dad came out and said that because he won F3, F2, and straight to F1, and it cost him $9 million. That's winning everything straight up.
That's doing it as good as you possibly can, and that's unheard of. Not many people can do that. So you're going to double your time there. So 18 mil to 20 mil is probably accurate.
Yeah, and that's yeah. So I mean, it's a great point, John T. Like, there's just it just shows that there's good drivers. There's, the top 5 in most categories at a professional level are very good drivers. And that's where IndyCar, like, Will Power saying, Europe's lucky it's got IndyCar. There's a lot of good drivers that are landing over there and getting good careers out of IndyCar.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that championship's so competitive. But it was cool to see a couple of cab drivers rock up to New Zealand and beat these open wheel experts.
I love it because we know how good Aussies and Kiwis are. Like I've always said, if you're winning in any national category in Australia or New Zealand, you can go and race in a category you want overseas and you'll hold your own.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. Jared Madsen.
Hey guys, Jared here. I think Williams will be title contenders by the end of the decade. They are now a very well-funded team. They have great leadership with James Vowers, and they got 2 great drivers. So I just can't see why they can't end up in the same position that McLaren's in right now. Cheers, guys.
Mate, it was only a couple of years ago they were on the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. No,
they're on the right trajectory.
Completely agree. They got the right money behind them. Definitely agree. They got 2 good drivers.
Be so cool to see, wouldn't it? To see
Williams get back. Yeah, I mean, and it's always that romantic story that, when they've got that heritage and they've done so much in the sport and they have struggles and they come. Yeah, I would love to see that.
And I did think, I started to think it's that Mercedes Red Bull battle, like the money they had. How could McLaren get back to their heyday? And I was like, I just couldn't see it happen. They're there.
Yeah, I thought McLaren. Yeah, I was the same. So I completely agree, mate. It's a great shout.
They sold their factory for cash flow, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so then they lease it.
Right.
So it's like 200 and something million, which when Zach came in, he's transformed that place. And
that's where.
So you're like, oh, maybe it is possible for a team to get back to where they used to be.
Yep. And I think that's the difference between sometimes when a businessman can put their flair on a race team.
Yeah.
Versus the old.
That's where they should focus. Yeah.
Yeah, the old days of a racer running a team. Business isn't their strong suit. The cars are.
Yeah.
So, getting someone to come and do that business side, I think. Yeah. So I would love to see Williams back up top.
Yeah, it would be very cool. And they've got 2 great drivers now as well. So they've got the guys that can do it. I realised we didn't even run over the results of the Formula One. We went straight into the fan memos. We got too excited by this.
Said Oscar finished there. That's all people want to know.
Yeah, we're very, yeah, we talk about British commentary being biased. We literally didn't even talk about the podium. We just went, well, Oscar didn't win. There's your Formula One recap.
Well, you know where I sit.
Yeah, definitely not on the fence. You are hardcore in Oscar's backyard.
Yeah, Aussie boy, let's go.
All right, next one.
Hey, boys, long-time lingerer, first-time caller.
Cheers, Liam.
Couple of things. Kind of getting over Crompo and Scaife talking over the team radios. It's at the point where it's like, why are they playing it? Because nobody gets to hear it anyway. F1 have done it for years, where as soon as that message comes through, whoever's in commentary is talking, they shut up, let the message play, maybe add to the radio call or whatever, and then they continue on with what was originally being said. It shouldn't be that hard this day and age to be able to do something like that in little old Australia. Second thing, the Supercars fan base is aging very quickly, and they've done very little over the years to sort of combat that. Obviously, Drive to Survive has done really good for F1. We don't have anything like that here. Do they need to be looking into bringing in someone like Cletus? Obviously not into Supercars because there's the whole wreck issue there, but into something like the Utes to bring in a younger fan base, because eventually everyone's going to die off and there's going to be no fans left. Anyway, love the pod, boys, and keep doing what you're doing. Do it for Dale.
Cheers, Liam.
It's a good shout on both those things. We've touched on this, I think, in the past, where the F1 it mutes the broadcast team.
There was a reason, wasn't there? Because I thought
when the radio
I actually
comes
thought
on?
production reached out to me and told me, but I can't remember why. I think there is a reason why ours can't do it. Like,
oh no, but yeah,
like our broadcast doesn't have the technology to. Yeah, it's on a different channel or something. But I agree. I'm with you.
They need to say, hey, in the years of Cromwell Discovery, hey, we're about to run radio.
Yeah.
Shut up for a second.
And radio, I don't imagine has to be live. Like
No,
that,
could be
that
delayed.
stuff could be delayed.
Yeah.
So that could be when you go, hey, we're going to cut to this. Our radio, to be honest, probably isn't clear enough anyway. Like a lot of ours, you hear it and it's like,
you need a ClearCom system.
Fuck, did he just say? Yeah, we do. We need the ClearCom system. But yeah, talking over it is a pet hate of mine as well. Because they do play it. It pops up on the screen and you're like, well, you're fucking still talking about front lot.
And you're trying to read it too. It's that little thing you're like, shut up, what's he saying?
Yeah. Even the other day, they actually posted a whole last like 3 or 4 lap battle with Brock Feeney and Matty Payne from Tasmania. It was good content. But I would have happily just listened to the engines for those 3 or 4 laps, but they still had commentary over the top of it. And you do get that layered content, if you're listening, you could remove the commentary for that piece of content and actually just let us listen to the cars and just watch them do their job.
Yep.
But they are recording, and this is something that they're coming out a lot with. You can hear the drivers breathing, and they are recording the microphone the whole time now, not just when the button's open. So if you spin and you're like, oh, fuck, whatever it is, they've got that. So that is something that someone should be listening. Like Ant Davison, I think, during Formula One is often going back and he's listening to radio and he'll go back and tell the commentators, hey, I just heard this on the radio. And then sometimes, because theirs is 2 laps delayed,
right,
they'll then cut to it and he'll go, oh, that's just what I was saying. But I think that's something we could do. It could be delayed, but we do need the driver's commentary. And if they're recording it, we should definitely find a way to use it, because I agree, mate. It's really good insight.
Yep.
And it's also an opportunity, to just
break it up,
shut up for a minute and listen to the drivers say their little bit and then cut back.
Yeah, give them a rest too. And on your second point with growing the younger fan base, how good would it be to see Cletus McFarlane in like Trans Am or Super Utes or something?
Come out here and do
I could see him in a Super Ute just like causing chaos.
Yeah. They'd put him in a Super 2 though, wouldn't they?
Do you reckon? No, I reckon he...
because it'd be a supercar thing. They're not going to put him in a Trans Am.
More his style.
But he should go in a Trans Am.
More his style to do Trans Am or even Super Utes would be his style, like he could...
Especially now it's a V8.
Like, yeah, I reckon he would froth a Super Ute with an LS in it. That's like in his wheelhouse.
It's a tricky one though to change the demographic, isn't it? And
Toyota's going to help. I honestly think Toyota's going to help because you got the Supra, so you're bringing that sort of JDM crowd a little bit.
Yep.
Younger crowd too. They sort of into that sort of style, I think. So I think, an extra manufacturer being Toyota is definitely going to help. And I just think like this sort of stuff, like the other ends of your social media and your entertainment and what's actually talking about your product, maybe promote them a bit better. And
yep,
I think that's sort of the main reasons or main ways I would go about it.
Yeah.
And the activations at the track and stuff. And we've said, try and make it affordable to go to the circuit. Try and make sure there's cool shit there.
Yep.
Good activations, whether there's concerts or whatever it is, or actual things that people can do and have some fun. And
Yeah.
it doesn't cost them an arm and a leg. It's actually achievable. Would be a good step.
Yep. Yep, definitely. Mark, FPV guy.
How you going, you Dead Set Buddy legends? Love the work, love the pod, keep it up.
Thanks, sir.
Got a question a bit left of field. Sponsorship, we all know how it works, pays the bills. The way the sport's been evolving and wanting the punters to follow teams and drivers, do teams really have an identity? You look at early 2000s merchandise, when the quality was a lot better, you also knew the team because I feel like you had more identity against today where you're just walking around advertising billboard. I suppose you compare that to other sports, whether it be, I'll pick on AFL, whether you wear a jumper from 2000s, right through to today, you knew who you followed and you could still wear it today and knew who you followed. Yes, the sponsorship changes, but the identity of the team is still there. Is that something we're lacking in supercars? Cheers, fellas. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not it's actually got some merit there because I remember as a kid, you'd go to the merch stand and as an example, a lot of the drivers would have their own merch. So I remember Paul Radisich had the stuff with the rat and it had the picture of the rat on the hat and the shirt.
Yeah, I had that hat actually. It was Ambrose I think I had. He had the Tassie Devil.
Tassie Devil.
And it was rock solid. It was like this embroidered badge.
So they all had their own thing and now, like you were saying, mate, when you're at Penske, if people wanted their own, the drivers are having to do that shit themselves to have their own in most of the teams, maybe not all of them.
Talking about billboards, though, in the past, they were more billboards than they are now. Because there was more. You look at a driver's helmet back in the day. Like now you see Chaz, Will, and a few others that have a lot of sponsors. But in the past, drivers had a lot of sponsors. There was more sponsorship around.
Yeah.
So I actually think the merchandise had more sponsorship on it, but the drivers were bigger personalities, which is why they had the rat and Ambrose with the Tassie Devil. That stuff was bigger for sure, I agree. But the sponsorship, there was definitely more logos on it. I mean, Shell released a car this year with a blank front bar. I saw the photos before it was released, and they had to Photoshop a logo on the front for the release because they didn't have enough sponsors.
I think, too, the partnerships, which I think is where he was getting at, too, a little bit there, is they were longer, as in...
Longer term, so they would invest.
Yeah, they were sort of loyal. The team and the partner and the commercial partner were quite loyal and they would kind of be on that, where now, the sharks are out swimming and they're cutting and, you put a sticker on your car and you can guarantee Monday there's been about 15 fucking emails sent to them saying why they can do a better job than you and stuff like that. So it's pretty ruthless. So I think,
you're right. It's
people are undercutting, people are underselling the industry just because they're all struggling to find. So they're like, well, if you're charging him $15, I can do it for 10.
Yep.
And so that's why we're seeing a bit of a mix and why some sponsors jump from car to car and different things like that. So where back in the day, it sort of seemed like I sponsor these guys because I value what they do, and it was a long-term partnership.
But also, do you think that the names, whenever I think back to the past, it was always the brands because they had. So even for me, when I had DeWalt for 3 years, it was funny because people started to know that I drove the DeWalt car. And even at my gym, people that don't watch the race were like, oh, you drive, I could say I drive the DeWalt car. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, I've seen that one. And it was guaranteed that it was me driving it because for 3 years that was my car. But when you're in a rolling livery, which a lot of them are doing now, they actually don't have, you can go in any gym. I remember when I was driving for Penske and I was like, fuck, then I could say I drove for Dick Johnson, which of course everyone knows, but I couldn't say, oh, this is the car I'm going to be driving the weekend for someone to keep an eye out. Or I couldn't be like, oh, I was in the Freightliner car on the weekend, because if they didn't happen to catch that one race, they wouldn't know. But over a 3-year period, or even when Pepsi was on the car, that was a long time, Vodafone, you could just say, you didn't need to say 888. So I would argue that the sponsors became more well-known than the teams, because 888 was that was Team Vodafone. Everyone knew it was Team Vodafone more than 888, I thought, at that point. Whereas now, even with Red Bull, I think we talk about 888.
Well, I feel for Ampol because most people refer to it as Red Bull, even though it's Red Bull Ampol.
But
also with that, I got a ripper and it was on my head and I knew I was going to lose it.
Must have been bullshit.
Oh,
That's so annoying.
it is really annoying because it was a cracker and I wanted to cut you off the whole time because I knew I was going to forget what I was going to say. Oh,
My dad, okay, I'll forget. My dad used to say, if you forget, it's probably bullshit. So
no,
here we go. We'll see what it is.
This is where I was going with it. To your point, mate, and this is where I think NASCAR do it well with having the big numbers because they say, I'm in the 11. Like Denny Hamlin has rolling sponsors now because that's the way the world's going, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where Supercars took that away a little bit. I think if they went back down that path, as example, you could be like, hey, I'm in the 19 Camaro on the weekend, and people be like, grouse.
Yeah,
and
that's a very good point.
So NASCAR, they always refer to them as the 11 or the number 3 or whatever the number it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I know we've got rolling liveries this year in my thing, but we've built up the 75 Camaro.
Yeah.
So people still refer to my car as the 75 Camaro. So if we run between Shaw, Pioneer DJ, Alpha Theta, whatever we want to put on the doors, people still go, oh, that's Elliot's 75 Camaro. So I think that's Supercars maybe need to, or teams need to go back to running, like when Shaw sponsored BGR, they said Bryce Ford's car does a big 14 on the doors, like the Trans Am does.
Yeah.
You know, so to try and build that identity. So I think that's where NASCAR have done it well because of the rolling sponsors. They still refer to them as the number of the car.
Yeah.
And whether it's a Toyota, Ford, whatever.
Yep. PSO, here we go.
G'day, boys. Just excuse the background noise. Parked on the side of the road.
Oh, sensible.
Fucking Alpine are such a fucking joke.
Alpine, yeah.
I mean,
They actually are.
It's just a fucking shit show there, isn't it? They basically had the guy that's leading the team who's basically a criminal in Flavio. Obviously the stuff with Crashgate where he basically got PK'd to intentionally crash in order to get his teammate Fernando to win a race. That's one. Number two, he is well known to do dodgy deals like all this shit that's going on with Jack and Colapinto. Colapinto's only there for 5 races, and from all the rumours and reports, Jack's just going to be immediately back in the seat afterwards.
Really?
It's just a fucking shit show, man. You know, I'm happy that obviously it didn't affect Oscar, and Webber was able to get a deal for Oscar to obviously head to McLaren, and we're seeing the fruits of it now. But fuck, man, surely it's got to get to a point that someone's got to look into that team and how it's been run, because clearly it's not being run to the standards of a Formula One team. And other than obviously the Doohans, I feel sorry for. The other person I feel sorry for is Pierre Gasly, because Gasly is a phenomenal driver. I don't know, it's probably just me just being a bit biased with obviously Doohan, but let me know what you guys think.
Well, great point, Pierzo. But Dave Marivo has actually popped in our comments straight away as well. Weber saw that coming. Wasn't that a great move to get Oscar Piastri out of that contract?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I was just thinking, like, F1, like, the money and the power is... I was just laughing, like, halfway through, because I was thinking, like, the guy that used to run F1 got found in the forest in bondage gear. But and even, like, the whole thing about F1 started from the whole, like, the train robbery stuff, like, all that stuff. There's, like...
It is, and the thing is, it's disappointing that, and one thing that was, one positive actually out of it was, so he did say Flavio was going to be the team manager, he was going to take over. Max Mosley, that's who it was.
There you go. Brad's all over it. Thank you, Brad.
SB actually got in before Brad, credit where it's due.
Oh, sorry, SB and Brad, well done.
Yeah, I didn't realise the FIA have to actually approve team managers. You can't just be like, we're going to employ this guy as an independent team. You can't just say he's going to be. He got declined. So he's not allowed to be.
I wonder what their background checks are, like what due diligence.
Well, no, they're saying you've had a ban in Formula One, so you don't.
Oh, yeah, I get that, but I'm saying I wonder what their process is just naturally. Like if you were, say, McLaren tomorrow said, oh, this guy's going to come be our team manager.
I guess they have to check criteria. Does this person deserve to be? Has he done F2?
Wondering what their due diligence is.
Yeah, would be good to know. His would have been a very quick check, I'd say. Crashgate was a pretty good scandal. But yeah, he did. Yeah, I think that, and we did post a video of Colapinto crashing, and it wasn't to highlight that he crashed and Jack should be in the seat. It's highlighting that maybe the organic spacer, as you put it, isn't always the problem. And like replacing Jack 6 rounds in, the car is not amazing. Like Gasly is one of the best drivers in the field, and he's not doing a spectacular job because the car's not great. Colapinto on the weekend. We did, I will say it again, we did not do the best job of overviewing the Formula One. We skipped through it. But Colapinto, I did watch him quite a lot through the Grand Prix, and he got towed up. He was way too conservative on the opening lap. I don't know if you saw that, but he lost 3 spots in one corner. it's like he was obviously scared. He just crashed in qualifying on the warm-up lap, on the formation lap. He thanked the team for their efforts in rebuilding the car. So it's clearly on his mind still.
His head's on the chopping block, mate.
Mate, he's scared. He's driving that car knowing his head's on the chopping block.
He's replaced a guy that didn't get to see out his season.
Yep.
So he's clearly not going to be stupid and go, well, I know if I stuff up, and he's just crashed.
He was told, you've only got to do 3 things.
Don't crash.
Be fast, score points, and don't crash. Well, he's crashed, didn't score points, and he wasn't fast.
Yeah,
so he'll be like, oh, fuck. And then what do? They're going to bring Jack back in? No way. Like, that's the thing.
If I was Jack, I'd
then
be like...
Flavio would have to admit he was wrong, which I don't think he's the guy to do that.
No.
So it's definitely an environment that, how does a driver succeed? We talked with Frosty about teams and how they contribute to a driver getting the best out of themselves. It's like, there's actually operating with confidence is number one. And in that team environment, it seems impossible to be able to
Well, we
operate
chatted
at your
about
best.
this offline in our group chat, even about supercars. I said, I think there's a team that actually gets the most out of people versus...
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yep.
More so than the equipment, but because it's such a big part.
Definitely, yeah.
Like confidence as a driver, you feed off it. If you're feeling good, you'll drive good. You feel shit, you'll drive shit.
Yep. It was like when we talk about having a fast car. If you've had a fast car your whole career, you don't really second guess your driving ability and you just naturally drive.
Do it, yeah.
And that's how we all operate our best. All right, Will, what do you got, mate?
G'day, boys. Will here.
G'day, Will.
Honestly, I'm relatively green, but I love the work you guys do.
Thanks, mate.
I've got a pretty interesting question for you, Scotty. When you were running full-time in the V8 supercars, was there ever a team you wanted to go full-time or a team that offered you a contract that you turned down and you thought, oh, shit, I should have gone to them? Loving your work. Keep up the amazing work. And, yeah, have fun.
Not really. The one
Just took everything you
one
got, didn't you?
team. Well, I maybe in hindsight I should have taken the renewal at Walkinshaw.
Yeah.
Like there was we got close there, and then Charlie had a good offer. Charlie, yeah, I thought that was. It seemed like it had the potential. Obviously, it is still doing the same thing.
Frosty got suckered into that too, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah, and so I went there, but that's one of those ones where like it is what it is. You kind of all I remember thinking at the time. I think someone gave me advice at the time was like, all you can do is take all the information you have and make a calculated decision, and then you can't look back. It's whatever the information you have at the time is how you make your decision. One thing that I do wish was just a bit different was my timing out of Super 2. So, like, had I done another year of Super 2 instead of going main game, I think things could have been different. I think going to LDM when I did, because I had such a good first season, and like RD, it was just much better than we expected. And then he got me to go into main series when I did, and it just didn't really work out for me. Like the team, we just had fires and brake failures and things. And if I did another year of Super 2, I was meant to be Craig's co-driver in the 888 car. And I think that could have changed the trajectory of my career. And even my year in Super 2, if there was an opening at 888 at the time, I probably would have gone into T8 as a full-time driver because, I mean, arguably I was in a spot very similar to Brock, but I'd done a lot less than Brock in supercars, and I did the same job really, but there was no opening. Jamie and Craig were the drivers and there was nowhere for me to go. So I do just wish somehow there was a way that I could have done Super 2 another year, but I kind of got there wasn't really an opportunity to do it again, even though RD was my manager, because Casey Stoner came back. So he was doing Super 2 in my car the following year, and Red Bull took over from Monster, and Monster was my sponsor, so they were paying me to do Super 2. And Red Bull wanted Casey Stoner the following year. So all of those things aligned that it just sort of forced me to go into main game at the time, which was exciting. But in hindsight, one more year of Super 2, I mean, I had never driven it. I did no testing. I went to Adelaide 500 my first time, and I'd only ever driven open wheelers. So it was hard. But yeah, one more year Super 2 would have been good, and then maybe just co-driver as Craig. And that's why my advice to some young kids is don't rush. Like,
sometimes you're better.
It feels great at the time. You're like, fuck yeah, main game, like I've made it, and then it ends up being a shit show. And had you taken just 12 months longer, it could have been very different. Like we probably would have won Bathurst that year with Craig, and
you'd be a Bathurst champ.
I'd be a Bathurst champ, similar to Percat in his first year. But, it could have been different. But anyway, that's it, mate. Really, but that's not a decision I had. That was just something that timing didn't align, didn't work out for me. So, if buts, maybes.
Correct.
But good question. Which one was that? Will. Okay, Robert, Ryan, here we go.
G'day, boys. Rob from Melbourne. Yeah, Scotty Mac's crash was pretty fucking scary to watch. Glad he's all right. Yeah, Ferrari. That's all I've got to say. Fucking hell, how shit are they? Yes, Hamilton finished fourth, but my God, they can never get a fucking strategy right. The safety car helped them a lot. Aston Martin got the absolute shaft from the fucking safety car, both the virtual and the literal one, I guess. Yeah. How good's that Colapinto fella? Shit, man, he deserved that fucking Alpine seat over Jack, totally.
Yeah, he's transformed that team in one weekend, hasn't he? The Ferrari one makes me laugh because it's Ferrari. Like, how do they get it so right? Their pace is nowhere anyway. I mean, now they are legitimately racing the Williams.
There's funny.
That was a good one. I like that.
There's funny memes too because their WEC team in the World Endurance Championship is like really strong at strategy calls and doing an amazing job.
Right.
And it's like their WEC team is 10 times better than their Formula One team. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Maybe switch them over. I did laugh because a friend of mine was in the F1 corporate last year for Ferrari and he went down for the garage tour. And he says, it blows me away. It's like, surely, because F1 is the pinnacle of the best. It should be all of the best people you can bring together, run your Formula One team. He goes, I can't believe that everyone that's the best of the best happens to be Italian.
Yeah,
it's like, surely, and he is a diehard, like he is Ferrari through and through. And he goes, it's funny, like, surely they need to go outside their pool a little bit for the engineering group and stuff. Like, but it's Ferrari.
Thing. Yeah.
It's Italian and that's it. But it is a shame because, like for him, I feel bad for him because he is, he's a Ferrari diehard. He is struggling at the moment to enjoy Formula One.
That was my running joke when I did the F1 Experience paddock tours last year at Melbourne GP.
Yep.
Because you got a pad, like you're talking to people all day, you're just padding.
Yep.
And you just use the same jokes. So like I'd walk past the Ferrari pits and because they're all Italian, they would always have a mad line at their coffee machine.
Yeah.
So I'd always be like hardest working coffee machine in pit lane. All the espressos getting pumped out for the Italians, but it was true. They were just always
flat out for them.
Just flat out. But it's interesting for a worldwide sport and massive organisations for them just to predominantly have Italians.
Yeah.
It is. I have never thought that. That's actually wild.
Yeah. Surely that can't be the case that everyone happens to be Italian. It's amazing. All right, Lisa Pearce. Hey, Lisa, thank you for sending a voice memo in.
Hey, guys. Lisa from Everyone's Motorsport Army.
Woo.
Just a quick thing on Supercars appointing Warburton as CEO. First off, the definition of insanity truly is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So this, for a lot of fans, from what I've been reading all day, is not the way that Supercars is going to get fans back, if you know what I mean. There were a lot more candidates out there that I don't even think they thought of. I'm going to probably get in trouble from this person for suggesting this. But Jason Haynes, who worked with Peter Adderton at Boost as the COO and then the CEO of the company, he would have been a great choice. And I'm sure Peter would back me up on that. Anyway, that's just my thought. Thanks for listening. Have a great night.
That's a good shout, Lisa, and I know Jace really well. In terms of the only thing is, I think from a marketing perspective, you probably wouldn't find someone better. And he got to be CEO of Boost Mobile as well. And I think that yes, it's just difficult to know when it comes to broadcast and things like that, and trying to negotiate those deals.
It's a big beast. It is a big,
and that's the thing. But I don't know. And I agree, Jace is amazing, and he did good things with Boost. But I don't know when you're talking about a sport that has to negotiate broadcast rights and things. I don't know. But in terms of changing the demographic and bringing in like an actually activating and doing things on the ground that make the sport sexy again, Jace should 100% be getting headhunted, whether it's a CEO role or not. I hadn't thought of that. And I actually agree with you that he should definitely be getting hounded by Supercars, because that's the guy you want on your side of the fence. Because trying to negotiate with him, and I know personally because I was sponsored by Boost, I've done deals with him, it's really difficult. But that's the guy you want in your backyard working for you. So I think that, good point. He would have some really good ideas, and Boost as well. People might turn their nose up at it because of whatever they think of Addison. But their demographic is they've got a lot of young. It's a subscription service. Like it is that their demographic are the younger people. Their audience is exactly what we're saying. We want to try and bring more of that audience in, the younger audience. And so they know how to market to them. They know what they like. They know how to create content that actually has the right hooks in place and is cool and gets a 17-year-old to tune in.
They got their finger on the pulse. There's no doubt about that.
So that's where I agree. CEO, not sure. That's a very hard call. I don't know that one. But good shout. I hadn't thought of Jace before. Glenn Sansom.
Hey boys, Glenn from Darwin here. First time caller.
Darwin.
Just catching up on all the podcasts. I just ran across the first anniversary show. Someone brought up the point of DTM running GT3 and could Supercars potentially do the same thing? And I thought ran across my mind is what if Supercars did the opposite and sold their IP to DTM? So that way the same rule set's being run in Germany as here. That way Supercars makes a bit of coin off the IP. It would be cheaper to run than a GT3 series, but also it would create a crossover opportunity. Also in the first anniversary pod, someone asked a question about more entries for the Enduros. This would be possible this way. We could get a few, say 3 or 4 cars from Germany, even more decide to come. Maybe get supplemented by Supercars the first year just to encourage them to come over. There's always a couple of wild cards, so that brings it up to that 30 mark that Elliot was talking about. Which also might bring more opportunity for younger drivers here to get a ride with an overseas team rather than trying to get in the main series team here. Other upsides could be possible enduro at the Nürburgring if Germany decide to organise that. Maybe our teams could go over there and have a crack. More makes, potentially maybe BMW coming with an M4, Merc, Volvo, whoever, Fiat, if they really wanted to. I just thought that might be a way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But I'm enjoying the show so far, boys. Hopefully you bring the live show to Darwin, and I'll see you up here sometime. Bye.
Thanks, mate. I like the idea he's reverse engineered it. I think that's actually like a cool idea. I don't know if you know, Scotty, if they've floated that idea out to sell, I guess, the blueprint of supercars to other international categories, but it's not a bad idea. Like they could, if they can run other bodies on the cars, which they can, like so for the other markets, you know, and if it would potentially then branch supercars out to then allow other manufacturers to come and race in Australia, I think it's got some valid points there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it would ever happen. I think it's a good idea. Like, I think it'd be cool. And I like the idea then as well of our car not just being unique to Australian supercars and having the opportunity for people to come from international with their car, like we see at the 12 hour, where they can bring
like World Touring cars used to be, you know? Yeah. They were all the BTC and then TCR became that.
Actually, that's a really good point. That's what really World Touring cars used to come out and be able to compete at Bathurst, didn't they? Yeah. I think they had that one weekend prior to Bathurst that time. Remember
they did their own, Yep.
So yeah, good point. Unfortunately, I don't ever see it happening. But I think it's a cool concept, and if it did, it would be very cool. I think it's...
The problem is with... And it was an easy call for DTM too, because all the manufacturers back the GT3 programs. So it was an automatic start, essentially, to get manufacturer support.
Yeah.
But...
DTM,
But I love sometimes you just got to, like, take it this way, and if you look at it this way, you know, like, I love that stuff. So it's a bloody good shout.
That was one that I do wish I stuck out a little bit longer in Europe for, because I had a 5-year contract with Mercedes and I was meant to do 3 years of DTM, and I come back here to Australia instead. And that was definitely one that I wish I could have done. I'd do 1 more year of F3, and then I had 3 years for Mercedes in DTM, and that was when when the cars were legitimately DTM cars.
Yeah, bloody cool cars.
And that was... Yeah, that was one that I'm like, that would have been cool to have experienced those cars. But luckily I didn't in hindsight, because the championship actually fell over not long after that. And that's why they then went to the GT car. But the old car, the GT3 car, whatever it is now, which is just a GT championship, isn't it? But the old DTM car used to be fucking epic.
Oh, they were wild, mate. They were like...
So cool.
Unbelievable cars. Yeah. Like amazingly fast, heaps of aero. I've been lucky to spend a bit of time with Bernd Schneider. He still does some stuff in Mercedes. Yep. He's like the Peter Brock of of Europe, won 5 or 7 DTM champions. He was the GOAT of DTM of its heyday. So, and he talks about the cars.
Especially in the 90s when he was like at his peak, it was just...
Yeah, the cars were just unbelievable. The stuff they used to, the engineering, it was just unbelievable stuff.
Yeah,
so, yeah, but you're right. The era that you were there, mate, and you were potentially going to drive them.
Would have been cool.
Amazing. I know Nick Cassidy got to test one when they were still the cool cars. A couple of guys did. Yeah, it's a shame that it fell over because they were unbelievable. But again, when you just let engineering when you just keep building cool shit, eventually it gets too expensive. And I imagine that's what happened with DTM because those cars were out of this world.
Yeah.
But, you know, if the cars are costing more than $500,000, I don't care what currency or where you are in the world, they're too expensive to race hard.
Yeah.
And there's no sustainability.
They became like a formula car anyway, where if you picked up any damage, the aero effect killed your car. Like it was like if you broke a winglet on the front bar, you were done. And I remember being a Brands Hatch when I was racing Formula Ford, and they were there, and one of the guys there, like literally it was just a winglet on the front wing, and it broke off, and it was when I was trying to do put him out of the race once that was gone. And I remember it was when I was trying to do the deal with Merck, and that was when I was talking to them, and they said, well, they're pretty much a Formula 3 car. I was like, you're kidding. Like, I thought it was just a touring car championship. Like, no, these are literally like a Formula 3 car. Like, the front bar is like our front wing. They're that important to the balance of the car. Whereas for us, we don't have the winglets or anything. Like, of course, if you break your splitter, you're fucked. But just those little elements that they have in Formula 1 were all over those cars then. Like, they were on steroids. But very cool looking thing. But I don't know that the racing was... I don't think the racing was all that exciting in the end because they were over-engineered.
Probably towards the end it wasn't, but like, yeah.
The 90s, definitely. They were cool cars.
90s, early 2000s. Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's it, mate. Thank you for everyone joining in on the live stream and chatting. If you want to, head over to our website, get some merch, support our partners. I'll put the links to all our, you got on display there, chest out barbs. We'll put all the links to our partners as well in the description of this video. So if you can, check out their websites, see if there's anything you're in the market for. But appreciate everyone joining us. If you want to support us even more, go on to Patreon. Check out what we do there.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you.
Anything you want us to talk about next time in particular as well, pop in the comments. Let us know.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.